In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
What's going on, guys? What's happening? Welcome, one and all. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in. My name's Brian. That's why it's Blunt Politics with Boston Brian. It's June 4th, 2026, and I do appreciate you for being here. We got a ton to talk about today, ton to discuss, a lot going on. But, that's pretty typical as it, relates to today's politics and political society that we're in right now. But what do you say we bring in the chat? Say hi to you guys. How's everybody doing on this? What's today? Thursday? On this lovely Thursday. I knew what day it was. I knew it. Well, I was testing you guys. That's what I was doing. What's going on, Olga? What's up, No Money G? What's going on, Carol? Dust in the Wind. How are you, my friend? What's going on, Corrine? Marshmallow over there on Twitch. Love all my Twitch peeps. Make sure you guys are doing that thumbs up. Make sure you guys are getting those hype trains going. What's up, Mr. Red? How are you? What's up, Lee? I see you over there on Facebook. You can't hide from me. You can't hide from me. Jimmy Two Soups. What's going on, brother? What's happening? Hi, Roxanne. Shout out to the mods. What's going on? Alvin. What's up, Gamer? What's going on? I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, Roxanne, good to see you. Dame Dog, good to see you. Filter in one and all. Filter in one and all. Moms, how are you? Nancy, how are you? How's everybody doing? I appreciate you. All right, like I said, it is 4 June 2026, just a couple days away from the anniversary of D-Day. And like I said, a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. We got some clips and some articles to bring up. And obviously some of them are going to be ridiculous, as they typically are. But first one is now a rumor going around. The reports are that Joe Rogan is being thought about for the next 60 Minutes broadcaster. Again, take that with a, for what it is, but, we'll be digging into a little bit of that. The House Armed Forces Committee today is going to be voting on that Section 224, which is the integration we were talking about between the Israeli military and the U.S. military. So definitely something that we need to keep an eye on as well. The House also passed the War Powers Resolution, then has to go to the Senate, and then if it passes the Senate, obviously is going to land in front of Donald Trump on his desk, which is going to give him a pretty big choice to make. But obviously the Senate comes first, so we'll have to take a look at that. We have Batya Unger Mindgone. We talked about her the other day, where she had this ridiculous clip that she put out of if the Tsar only knew, Donald Trump doesn't understand how much the people are hurting in this country. Oh my God, somebody should tell him and let him know what these things that he's doing, what they're causing to the American people, which is just asinine, right? Considering, Trump himself has said, I don't care what the American people are going through. I don't care how much they're spending right now. He doesn't care if he has a negotiation or if the war continues. It doesn't really matter to him no matter what. But she's back on, was back on with CNN, basically with the same argument, right? And it's just this whole, send some stipends out, pay for the damages, or at least a fraction of the damages that were caused by the tariffs and all of these other disastrous decisions. And she kind of gets clapped back. I believe she was on with Abby Phillips, if I'm not mistaken. We have the Republicans now claiming that there was cheating going on in California. We're not going to have an election that goes by without the Republicans claiming this for the foreseeable future, I guess. We have that. There's more angles to come on the strikes in Kuwait, on the Kuwaiti International Airport there. So checking in with that. I got a question. And there's a couple of clips here. There's about a 6-minute clip of Scott Bessent. in front of Congress. And how the hell is Scott Bessent surviving? And I don't mean surviving in this administration. I mean, how the fuck did he make it this far in life? I'm dead serious. He seems like the most uncomfortable, unconfident, incompetent motherfucker that I have ever laid my eyes on in my entire life. Right? This guy does not know his ass from his elbow, can't get a complete sentence out. He is just a stuttering, stammering fool. And I don't know how he made it this far. I don't know how he's managed to get this proximity to power and the amount of wealth that he's managed to accrue. He just seems like a moron in all senses of the word. Like every single bit of him just seems idiotic, stupid, moronic, incompetent. Like, again, he's just the most uncomfortable human being that I've ever had to watch inside of government. So there's a clip of him going back and forth with, I believe, was it Congresswoman Sanchez? I forget at this point. We'll go over it. But and then we got clips from James O'Brien, Benny Johnson, Don Jr. Don Jr. takes a crack at going after James Tallarico. And it didn't go well for him. I don't know if the teleprompter screwed up. I don't know if he had a brain fart. I don't know what was going on with Don Jr. I don't know if the coke kicked in. Something happened. But, you know, his attempt at going after James Tallarico with the same bullshit that you've already heard, the, what do they say, 16 genders and calling him a vegan or a vegetarian and all this nonsense and bullshit, right? So he tries to get into the game. He wants to get his hand in there. He wants to make sure he gets his shots in. And like I said, didn't go really well for him. So we got that. And then obviously some updates from Ukraine. We got Kate from Kharkiv, Philip Ingram, and the professor, if in fact we leave ourselves enough time to get through those videos. So like I said, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. My name's Brian. This is Blunt Politics. We've built a fabulous community here of like-minded people. And again, of people that don't mind disagreement. It's not, you know, please, if somebody comes in and decides to talk shit about me, if they decide to come in and you know, kind of disagree with what I'm saying, don't fucking jump on them. You can attack them with the marketplace of ideas, but we don't want this to become this, you know, cult-like following that doesn't really attract new people. Not saying that you are, but we've seen other programs and other accounts kind of turn into this sort of thing. So I think we've done a fantastic job with the mods and the kind of rules and the ground, you know, the ground rules that we've laid down of, you know, unless it's, you know, blatantly, you know, violent threats or doxing somebody or bigoted, homophobic, you know, those types of things. And it's pretty blatant. You know, people are and should be allowed to come in and get in their disagreements and get into conversations and even heated debates in the chat. So I appreciate you guys, you know, for building that coalition, building that community and sticking with me at the same time. But let's start with this as we've done for the last few shows, and we will continue to do until this is through. I just want to continue saying thank you for you guys and your continued generosity and your support for this. I just honestly am, I know I've said it time and time again, but I am blown away every single day that I wake up and I recognize the community that we've built here. And I don't know, the reach, the small reach that we have with this platform can result in such good. Right? I mean, it's crazy because right now we're already up to 22%, right? Just after a few days, guys. This is only after a few days of a channel with just over 20,000 subscribers. So again, there's channels with millions and millions and millions of subscribers, and I know they raise a lot more as well, but still, I'm very, very proud, you know, to say that we've been able to do this much. So 22% of the way there, 4,683 euro raised, which is what's the equivalent? It's got to be somewhere in the 5,000s, right? So over 5,000, I'm going to say 5,400-ish. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat with my equations there, but a very substantial amount either way raised by you guys, and it's fantastic to see. So like I said, keep this going. If you can continue sharing it out, if you've already done your part with, you know, a donation, share it out on socials, share it out to your friends, your coworkers, your family, people that you may you know that support Ukraine and may have, you know, let's just, you know, call it what it is, deeper wallets, deeper pockets than most of us have. But again, if you go to Help 99, you go to our specific Summer of Drones campaign, gives you all the information on where the money's going, how we're helping the people. There's actually even a video here we could probably even watch real quick. This is kind of the 3rd Operational Battalion, the artillery platoon that is that we're going specifically to help. This is what this campaign is going specifically to help, and this is them basically requesting the support, requesting this help from the NAFO brigade, obviously Help 99, and that's where we come in here here at Blunt Politics. This is just real quick. I think it's less than a minute, but you can hear how important it is to them for the to get these vehicles. So just real quick.
Бажаю міцного. Ми артилерійський взвод 3-го батальйону оперативного призначення військової частини 30.
So he says we are the artillery platoon of the 3rd Operational Battalion, Military Unit 3102.
102. Звертаємось до НАФО.
We are reaching out to the NAFO community and the Help 99 charity fund for assistance in obtaining a pickup truck.
Благодійного фонду Help 99 по допомогу за пікапом для здійснення логістичного.
He says a pickup truck to support the logistics needs of our artillery crews.
Забезпечення артилерійських розрахунків нашого підрозділу. Завдяки авто ми зможемо здійснювати оперативний
With this vehicle we will be able to rapidly transport ammunition, supplies,
підвоз боєкомплекту, провізії та ротації особового
and personnel within our battalion's area of responsibility, particularly in the Lipsy direction.
складу в зоні відповідальності нашого батальйона, а саме на Липцівському напрямку та без перебільшення
Without exaggeration, we can say that a vehicle is not only about logistics,
можемо сказати, авто це не тільки про логістику, а й про збереження життя наших
but it is also about saving the lives of our soldiers.
бійців. Слава Україні!
Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes, Heroyam Slava. So obviously you can see the importance and just how awesome it is for them, I think, to be able to utilize platforms like this, again, where a lot of times the support has to be bought by the soldiers themselves. They're getting the different, the gear, the platforms, the things to make them comfortable in their, in their bunker, wherever they are, has coming out of their pocket. So to be able to utilize platforms like this and Cars for Ukraine and United 24 and so many other great organizations that are going to help, whether it be procuring drones, procuring vehicles, procuring aid, whatever it may be. It's really cool to see. So just a couple thank yous here from people on the wall. Thank you to Hugo so much. Thank you to Dame. There you go, brother. Let's go. Shout out to Dame in the chat. Let's go, my man. Thank you to Moms W in the chat, to everybody here. Thank you to Moms. Thank you to Rox. Thank you to Alicia. Here's one that I put in behalf of Nance. So that goes out to Nance. All credit to Nance on this one. An anonymous one, which is cool with me. Obviously, Tom and Victoria and their family. Thank you so much. Nicole, Christina, Yakov has put in a bunch. Thank you so much, brother. And Berger Kuhn, Mark, KO, a bunch of people. Todd. You guys have been fantastic already in getting this already. 43 different donations, separate donations. Again, well over $5,000 raised there. And hopefully, fingers crossed, not getting ahead of myself, if, it works out and it's something that, lines up and the Lord will let happen, there might be a small chance, a very small chance that I myself, when this is in fact done, may just be able to hand over this vehicle in person. Now, don't quote me on that. Let's not set that in stone, but it is something that hopefully behind the scenes can pan out. That would be unbelievable to be able to hand it over to the 3rd platoon there, the artillery platoon, myself, and shout it out to you guys here for being responsible for that, and hopefully pair that up with other on-the-ground reporting inside of Ukraine. Again, not getting ahead of myself, but, a boy can dream, a man can dream. All right, let's say we get into some of these wild and wacky stories that I was talking about in the intro. Here's this first one, and this is just thrown out there. This is reported by the Clash Report, and this is what I was laughing at first. It's CBS News is reportedly considering I'll get it. One sec. CBS is reportedly considering Sorry. Well, give me a sec. I'm gonna get it. Clash Report has on Twitter, and they say CBS News is reportedly considering Joe Rogan as a possible replacement for Anderson Cooper on 60 Minutes. Oh, the Twilight Zone. What was it like living in the Twilight Zone, Uncle Brian? Well, sit on my lap and let me tell you. Let me tell you about the time that CBS was reportedly considering Joe Rogan as a replacement for 60 Minutes after firing one of their longest lasting and serving broadcasters. And again, just trying to dismantle 60 Minutes from the inside. But I mean, this is just, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sure how confirmed or corroborated the reporting is, but just a little bit of a glimpse, a snippet of the times that we're in now. right? Just even the fact that this is something somebody could type out and there's a possibility that it could be true is wild. That's just my opinion. But, it says here, and it says the source is Radar Online. So you know what I say, take it with a grain of salt, whatever whenever you see these types of things. But it's just the wild and wacky nature, wild and wacky times that we're in. This is also something that I talked about on the intro. The House Armed Service Committee will today vote on whether the Section 224 of the NDAA, which would integrate the most sensitive technologies with the U.S. defense infrastructure with those of the Israeli military. So, like I said, something else to keep an eye on, as we've been talking about here on this show. Again, I've given my opinions on that one, but here's something else that Drop Site was talking about as well. So this ridiculous use of the word ceasefire that continues to be thrown around in all areas, whether it's Lebanon, whether it's Gaza, whether it's inside of Iran. But this is stating here, no ceasefire here, as stated by this reporter. Israeli strikes resume in South Lebanon hours after framework agreement, killing at least 9. And this is 2 hours ago, reported 2 hours ago by Drop Site News. Ceasefire declarations proved short-lived in southern Lebanon Thursday, with Israeli strikes resuming within hours of the U.S. brokered framework announcement, killing at least 9 people and wounding others across multiple areas, according to Lebanon state-run national news agency and Press TV war correspondent Hadi Hotet, reporting from the Nabatea area. The breakdown goes as Samor Baka Valley, 5 killed, 4 wounded in an Israeli airstrike. In Marub, 1 killed, 1 wounded in an Israeli strike on a motorcycle. Al-Abbasiyah and Trier, the 3 killed in an Israeli airstrike. Nabatea area, more than 10 drone strikes reported since this morning, with Hotit reporting at least 10 casualties from drones alone by midday. Israeli forces have reinstated no movement orders. Any vehicle on the road is being targeted. Hotet described watching a struck car carrying 10 to 15 cans of infant milk powder. Someone was trying to deliver aid for people that were still in the area. Let's see. UNIFIL peacekeeper killed in the Marajun. A Serbian UNIFIL peacekeeper was killed and 2 others wounded in a series of mortar attacks on a Spanish base. UNIFIL has not announced who was responsible. Spanish Prime Minister. So that's looks like something different. My apologies. But Israeli military order. Israeli issued a new order to residents of southern Lebanon, demanding that they not return to areas of the Zarani River, warning that, quote, anyone who travels south would be putting their life at risk, end quote. Hotet added that their journalists are now also trapped. We cannot leave the area because being on the roads is too dangerous. So again, just to kind of detail, this is from Drop Site News, June 4th, 2026. Israeli kills 11 strikes in Gaza. Hezbollah rejects illusory ceasefire as Israeli assaults continue. House passes war powers resolution, which we'll talk about right this second here. So this is a Midas Touch post, and this was yesterday, I believe. I didn't get to this on the show, but the House did pass a war powers resolution aimed at reining in Donald Trump's war in Iran in a 20-15 to 208 vote. 4 Republicans broke with Trump and voted with Democrats. That was Thomas Massie, Warren Davidson, Tom Barrett, and Brian Fitzpatrick. So again, this is the moment here, I guess, where the cheers rung out as it was passed. So let me play that real quick for you guys.
On this vote, the yeas are 215 and the nays are 208. The concurrent resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
So again, just a round of applause there at the moment where the war powers resolution at least passed the House. Obviously now the Senate, the next hurdle, and then obviously what decision and choices the Trump administration will eventually have to make if in fact it does get to his desk. But something long overdue, right? This should have happened long before the United States even enacted this war, to get people on record, exactly where they stand. That way, when this disastrous war unfolds, we could look back and say, well, that's who said that they were in favor. That's who lied to us about what we were doing. That's who lied to us about what Iran was doing. And these are the people that obviously spoke up against it. That's typically, and obviously to stop anything like this happening. But, it's a long time overdue, I would say. But good to see at least the 4 Republicans breaking with Trump and voting with Democrats. to make this thing pass here. So again, Thomas Massie, Warren Davidson, Tom Barrett, Brian Fitzpatrick, breaking with Trump to vote with Democrats. So we'll keep an eye on that, see what happens with that in the Senate there, and obviously what pressure will be put on Donald Trump to kind of, to sign that if in fact it does make it to his desk. So, all right. Let's see here. Let me throw this one on as well, because this was the "If the Tsar Only Knew" portion of the show here. Because if anybody is lucky enough, fortunate enough to have watched any of Philip Ittner and his coverage of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia, he's very, very knowledgeable on Russian affairs, Russian way of life. Obviously, living inside of Kyiv now for several years, he's very knowledgeable about what's taking place in Ukraine as well. And he's brought up this a lot on Hal's show and on this show too, about if the Tsar only knew. And if you're just kind of joining us, if you're a new subscriber, I'll just explain really quickly what that is, and then you can kind of attribute that. You can compare that to what we're hearing here from Batya Unger Mind Gone. So basically, if the Tsar only knew is this thought by, say, people, let's just, breaking it down generally, outside of Moscow, outside of St. Pete's, in the wider expanses of Russia that don't have the amenities, that don't have the connections, the internet connections, the plumbing connections, electricity connections in some degrees, no running water, no things like that. Those people, it's this feeling, it's this theory that, Vladimir Putin couldn't possibly know the situation that they're in. They couldn't possibly know that they have to go out and walk, 50 yards to go shit in a fucking bucket every time they have to go to the bathroom. Meanwhile, people living in the lap of luxury in Moscow, any of the bigger cities there in Russia, St. Pete, the list goes on there as far as some of the 10 biggest. But after you get outside of those, it starts to change drastically. And the thought of the Tsar, if the Tsar only knew, was he would definitely help us if, we could just get it out there, if we could just make it known, to get his attention, to let him know how badly people are struggling. He would, because he's such a nice man and he's working so tirelessly for the people, right? Everything you hear about a dictator, everything you hear about a Kim Jong-un, a Kim Jong-il, right? Everything you hear about Viktor Orban or Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, you name it, they typically are, these people that are thought to have been in some way worshipped, and they're just, they're a step above human beings in some regard. The Kim Jong-un crap about he doesn't crap, you know what I mean? He doesn't go to the bathroom because he works so hard. He's he burns off so much energy that he doesn't have the need to go to the bathroom. That's kind of along the same lines here. Well, this is, like I said, Batya Unger Mind Gone. And basically, she's just repeating what we played on the show the other day of her wish, her hope that Donald Trump would just send out $2,000 or $3,000 checks to everybody, and that would kind of put their minds at ease, and it would help them forget about the Iran war, and they wouldn't remember how much they're paying for groceries. And basically, all that it would do is the American people would now recognize how quickly that $2,000 or $3,000, I forget what she said, I think $2,000 maybe. So these $2,000 stipends, how quickly they would go. Right, I think that's the first thing that the American people would know if that went out. How little they bought, or how little that $2,000 afforded them, or how quickly it was gone out of their bank account. I think that would be the first thing that they'd be probably, okay, this is cool. And then all of a sudden, you pay one bill and it's gone. You're like, well, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean? But all right, let's play this quick clip. There's not too much here. I think it's about a minute or so, where she's on with Abby Phillip and she's saying the same thing. Basically, Donald Trump can't possibly know the struggles that the American people are facing. Somehow we have to get it in front of him to let him know. And if you could just send out these checks, I'm sure it would be, such a boom. The American people would forgive him for so much of the hurt, pain, and destruction that he's caused, right? And then, Abby Phillips appropriately goes, didn't you support the tariffs? Because, they're blaming she's talking about the tariffs and the destruction that they caused and the chaos that they caused. Meanwhile, she was a full-fledged supporter of these, Batya Unger Mind Gone. She was a full-fledged supporter of the tariffs. Now is all of a sudden calling for, payments to be made to the American people because of how disastrous they were, while also at the same time still supporting them. So, all right, this is, like I said, a quick clip here from Abby Phillips' show with Batya Unger Mind Gone, talking about if the Tsar only...
Or something along those lines. I think that's accurate. So we don't know how this is going to end. The problem is that the American people who voted for Donald Trump are hurting. They are bearing the cost of this war disproportionately because they are the ones struggling to pay for gas and struggling to pay for food. And this is a big problem for the president, and I don't know how aware he is of that. So he has two.
You don't know how aware he is of that. Do you know how absolutely living with your head up your fucking ass you have to be to not think that Donald Trump understands what's going on in this country right now as far as pricing? As far as gas prices, oil prices, as far as, energy costs, as far as groceries. I mean, you name it right now. You think he doesn't know? Because I'm pretty sure he was specifically questioned on multiple occasions about the plight of the American people and the difficulties that they're now facing, and obviously how it has the possibility of getting even worse the longer that this persists, the longer that the straits close, the longer that the United States is engaged in this ridiculousness that they're engaged in right now. This is going to get exponentially worse, right? So she's sitting here actually believing, or trying to get other people to believe that she believes, that Donald Trump doesn't know about any of this. He couldn't possibly know about all the hurt that he's causing, not only here in the United States, but all over the world, Europe, the Asian Pacific markets, you name it right now, right? I mean, it's unbelievable that somebody could stoop to this level, to have like the lack of soul, the lack of like self-awareness, and the lack of care for your integrity and character, that you would sit on CNN in front of the fucking bright lights with the camera in your face, a microphone fucking hooked up to you, and try to say this shit with a straight face. Right? It blows my mind.
Competing imperatives. He cannot get out without some sort of deal that is better than the JCPOA, and he has to somehow alleviate the pain and the suffering of working class Americans. In my view, the best.
It's not even possible at this point. I don't even see a remote possibility. There's not even the remote possibility of coming out with a deal that is somehow looked at more favorably than the JCPOA. There's no talking points. There's been no fucking, demands put forward by the Iranian regime that in any way says that we're going to get to a point where we were with the JCPOA. And again, whether that's with the amount of inspectors that we had, the amount of knowledge that we had over what was happening with the enriched uranium, whether that's the amount of money that was sent over, right? I mean, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars potentially now, depending on what the deal says when it's signed. If it is the frozen assets as well as the, the repayments of damages caused because of this war, then we're talking about, again, the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars being sent over there to afford the Iranian regime, the new, more hard-lined Iranian regime that is clearly pissed off because we killed their father, right? I mean, we killed the Ayatollah's father. We killed a lot of his family. We bombed the fucking schools. We committed war crimes. Does this sound like we're setting up a good relationship? Does this sound like we're going to have a favorable partnership with the Iranians going forward, possibly with this more IRGC affiliated hardline group that we got in, less structure as far as command? We've heard that time and time again. They don't know who's in charge. We don't know who's in charge. So seems to be a pretty stupid move to take out enough of the leadership where you can't even come to an agreement because they don't know who the fuck is in charge anyway. Or there's so many people now vying for these positions of power that it's difficult. Like, you set that up. You put that in motion. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that before when you were engaged in peace talks or engaged in talks with the previous Ayatollah, right? None of these things were a problem. All of the problems we're trying to face and solve now are problems initiated and as come to us as a retaliation because of the war that we enacted, right?
The best way to do that is a stimulus check, and I don't know why this isn't on the table at all. I think he needs to give people some sort of a tariff rebate in order to get them through the summer months.
A tariff rebate?
Tariff rebate.
How about just get rid of the tariffs?
Well, we brought in 200.
Wait, weren't you an advocate for the tariffs?
Yes, exactly.
So then why are you asking for a rebate?
That's exactly what a rebate is.
Give a stimulus check why you haven't done anything.
We brought in $200 billion in tariffs, and we should now take some of that money and give it to Americans who are struggling to pay for gas and groceries.
Actually have to already be refunded because
They were
that
illegal.
most of them were illegal.
That's actually, it's not
but-
clear that they have to be refunded.
Yeah, well, the government's already being sued for those refunds, and again, whether she's just kind of leaning on the crutch that they haven't been paid out yet is again a ridiculous thing to say. Well, you know, the damages caused to the American people, and again, we're taking, I don't know what number she's coming up with, but I can assure you the number that the Trump administration is trying to come up with as far as the money taken in with tariffs is probably not accurate. But again, the damage caused to the people, right? We ended up paying exorbitant cost for things. These companies got to get record profits, and now on top of those record profits, the prices are still staying high, and on top of those prices still staying high, these companies now get to sue the fucking government for the money back because the tariffs were illegal in the first place. So they get to double dip. They get to continuously triple dip. Actually, they get to keep the prices high, right? Not only that, but they got the money already for when they raised the prices when the tariffs first kicked in. And now on top of that, these companies that are now afforded this opportunity that qualify for this get to fucking sue the government to get their money back because of the illegal tariffs. So they're triple dipping here, and all three times it's off the backs of the U.S. taxpayer. Right? We were the ones paying those costs. We were the ones where that price trickled down to us and it raised exponentially. We were the ones that had to buy it at the end of the fucking day. So now those companies get rewarded. Those companies get record profits. Now they get the money back, and we're sitting there fucking, footing the bill as usual. But again, this, if the Tsar only knew, if the Fuhrer only knew, if Donald Trump only knew what was going on, he'd definitely step right in and stop this and send money to the American. Like, shut up. God fucking damn it. I can't stand her. Can't fucking stand her. All right. Speaking of people I can't stand, here's a clip from Fox News as well. You knew this was coming, right, guys? It wasn't going to be long after the California elections or long into the California elections the other night that the Republicans were obviously going to call for cheating. They were going to say there was cheating involved, right? But this is just a real quick clip from Fox News. But before I do that, here's Cat Turd wants to chime in. He says the entire country is sick and tired of the Democrats cheating in California. We've had it. Okay. And then you add that up with Benny Johnson. Before I play that Fox News clip, here's Benny Johnson showing you the evidence. Now, let me see. Tell me, guys, in the chat, what evidence he shows in this clip. Like, what is the evidence that Benny Johnson actually shows to you in this clip? Because apparently he's at some site where 26 registered voters are supposed to be or live, not quite clear, but he apparently has the information in his hands, the evidence in his hands. You think he shows that? You think he shows that and holds it up to the camera, that clear-cut evidence that he's holding in his hands? No. And again, this is just a really quick bullshit TikTok from Benny Johnson claiming that he's exposing the voter fraud. But you let me know in the chat what he actually exposes here. Because as far as I can see, it's absolute jack shit.
Yo, what's up, guys? We're outside of a very important place here in California. You'll see it's just home to a porta-john and a giant empty parking lot. But inside of this empty parking lot is something really important in the state of California. As you can see here, we have...
No, we didn't see there. That's the whole fucking point of this video that I'm doing. We didn't see there.
Really important in the state of California.
Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can do let me do a headstand. Can somebody hold my feet on the ceiling so maybe I can get a glimpse at whatever Benny Johnson's trying to show us here? Because to me, it looks like a bunch of randomly printed out pages with anything. Could be fucking anything on them, some bitches. But again, maybe let me give him time. I'm only 13 seconds in, so maybe Benny Johnson will do the right thing and actually provide the evidence that he's saying that he has. He couldn't possibly just go this whole video without showing it, right? That would be kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, you can see here, we have registered voters. 26 registered voters for this.
See them all? Look at all the voters there. Look at all those registered voters. I see none. Unless, again, is he counting those cones as registered voters? I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure, but it's a pretty good representation of Benny Johnson's fucking head. Just a big empty space. That's all I'm looking at right now. Two big empty spaces. One's a parking lot. One's Benny Johnson's dome piece.
Exact location, 100 Sunset Avenue in Venice. 26 registered voters. Right here.
Show it.
According
Show it.
to the registrar and the Secretary of State. 26 people registered to a porta-john and an empty parking lot. Where do their ballots go exactly? So who's picking up the ballots? Who's voting?
What a fucking tool. That's his expose, right? And again, no, I'll fast forward through the rest of it. If you're curious, if he shows the papers at all, no, he doesn't. Not even. He does show the porta potty. And I'm sure Benny Johnson, we know, has probably spent a time or two in a porta potty, not alone, right? I'm sure he's had some memorable experiences in porta potties before. I've heard from some people on the Republican side, you hear about their experiences over there on Grindr and what they lead to. You know what I mean? It's just crazy how they put that stuff on social media. All right, but let me jump on to this next topic, because we talked about this the other day on how CENTCOM, who has been proven time and time again to just be a bunch of outright fucking liars and propagandists on the behalf of, at the behest of Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon there, basically just either really carefully wording things as to not really let on how bad things are, or just lying outright. So basically they came out the other day and claimed that Iran had no successful strikes. Nothing was hit. And again, we pointed out the strange way they worded it, and it seemed to be very hyper specifically based on anything American, anything U.S. So they didn't have to kind of admit that other things were hit, other targets were in fact strike. But on that same show, we went on and played you the footage from the Kuwait International Airport, and there were just a few more angles and a few more pieces of video that came in. So I just wanted to play this really quick to kind of just throw CENTCOM under the bus one more time. You know what I mean? Because this to me looks like the Iranians had some success. So let me throw this on the screen real quick. So here's just multiple angles of that strike on the Kuwait International Airport. You can see this says, this is the moment where a massive fireball tears through Kuwait's international airport after it is struck by a suspected Iranian drone. Looks like a Shahed. Let me see. I'll mute this and let it play so that I'll read it when it goes on. So you can see, obviously, the damage to strike in the background here. I'll actually get out of the way so you can see full screen. I'll speed it up just a touch. It says Kuwait's foreign ministry said one person was killed in the attack, which caused extensive damage to the main terminal building. Here's another angle of it. That guy's not sticking around to find out what that was. Don't blame him. Here's one from inside as well. I mean, I don't know how much closer that guy in the white could have possibly gotten to that fireball. I mean, look at this gentleman here in the white walking. Looks like he's talking on the cell phone, not thinking about a goddamn thing. And then next thing you know, he's about, I don't know, an inch, maybe 2 inches away from where that fireball almost looks like it gets him to some extent. You can see incoming, got him. Incoming debris. Footage inside the terminal showed people caught in the huge blast, which also injured more than 60 people. I think this was the video that we showed. The IRGC denied a responsibility for the strike, claiming the damage was caused by an error from a U.S. missile interceptor. So again, regardless if this was intended or not intended, the fact that the reports were coming out that they had no successful strikes is clearly not the case. U.S. CENTCOM said this was false and claimed Iran struck the airport was deliberate. So now it was deliberate. The person who was killed in the Iranian attack on Kuwait's international airport was later identified as an Indian citizen. And again, just some of the footage there from the damage from that strike. Firefighters inside there. So obviously extensive damage. Looks like some of the nationals there are going to take a look at the destruction. But yeah, I just figured would throw that on there to again show you the amount of chaos and devastation still ongoing. And again, this is just Kuwait. Obviously, there was other regions attacked as well. Pair that up with what's going on in Lebanon, still like we continue to talk about in the West Bank, obviously in Gaza. And again, you can see really quickly the ridiculousness of the term being thrown around that is ceasefire, because none of those instances, none of those theaters of war right now are seeing anything remotely resembling a ceasefire. Anything but, and quite to the contrary. We seem to be seeing quite regularly nightly bombings between the United States, between Iran, and obviously Iran and the Gulf nations, between the Houthis and Israel as well. So the shit continues to kick off here, but Let me throw this one on the screen as well, just real quick. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the show today. I appreciate your passion. I appreciate your aggression in this, and I appreciate your persistence in staying up to speed, staying informed and educated on these topics that obviously the more you know, the better off that you'll be. So this is, again, how this man is still alive, and I only say that because he seems to be the most incompetent person I've ever laid eyes on. Not only how is he still alive, but how did he make it this close to proximity of power? Like, to be in line in some way, shape, or form for the president it's mind-blowing to me. But I'm speaking about, of course, Scott Bessent. Let me throw this on your screen because the stuttering, stammering fool here just proves time and time again that, like I said, he's the most uncharismatic, unconfident, most incompetent person that you could possibly put in front of a camera to get forth your administration's policy beliefs and goals and stuff like that. How he's still got a job, again, is beyond me. But this was a going back and forth between Rep. Sanchez and Scott Bessent about Trump and the IRS audits, and I just want to play a little bit. Let's go through a little bit of this with you, because boy, oh boy, is it not apparent to you? I want to know if it's apparent to you as it is to me how just qualified, how unable this guy is to do this job, and then to be trying to clap back like he's a Donald Trump, like he's like somebody that can, I don't know, just like get these sly remarks in there, like he's like cool and he's one of the crowd. He's one of the cool guys that can say these nicknames and call people out for different shit. And he just fumbles and flops every single goddamn time. It just never comes across the way he thinks it's coming across. And it's utterly embarrassing. It really is. For people to be watching this guy represent us in our government right now. And again, pair that up with the rest of the fucking idiots that we have running this government, then, you can see where the embarrassment comes in. But here's Scott Bessent. We'll just play a couple minutes of this and his questioning, the line of questioning by Rep. Sanchez about Trump's IRS audits in a budget hearing here. So let me play a real quick clip of this.
Mr. Secretary, do you believe that all Americans should follow our tax laws?
Yes, Congress.
Yes, good.
Couldn't even get that one out. Yep. Yes, I do. Yep, I do.
So do I. And do you believe that for those Americans who break our tax laws, they should be audited or held accountable?
Well, I think there are two things there. An audit is not a result of breaking the law.
Yes or no? Simple question.
Well, no, it's not a simple question. It's
okay, then let me break it into two. Do you think they should?
If you're asking me,
please don't interrupt me. Please answer that. I came here for answers. If you came here to waste time, I'm going to try to make sure you don't do that. Do you believe that people who lie on their tax returns should be audited?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that people who break our laws should be held accountable, our tax laws?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Very simple. Not a hard question. I'm glad we agree. So why is it that you are allowing President Trump to have complete immunity from being audited?
Again, I'm going to have to refer you to my previous statements. And
what was your previous statement, sir?
I am unable to comment on any of the ongoing litigation.
Okay. Can you name the ongoing case concerning President Trump's immunity from audit?
Sorry?
Can you name?
I'm sorry. Did the mic not work? Were your ears turned off for that split second, or are you just trying to give yourself time to figure out, an answer for that, since you don't either have an answer or don't know what the hell the question's about?
There are three cases.
Yeah, what are those cases? Name the cases.
Name them, please.
That are out there now, and I will be happy to get back to you on those, because again, I am not a lawyer.
Okay.
We are represented by
the worst at this. The worst I've ever seen at this. The worst, by far, bar none. And we've seen some fools, guys. We have seen some utter and outright fucking buffoons come through these screens over this podcast, right? And this guy is by far, bar none, the worst I have ever seen attempt to do this. I've never. And again, I'm a human being. I understand. I slip up on words. I say things wrong. I get phrases wrong. I stutter and stammer sometimes, but not even close to as consistently as this son of a bitch. I mean, there is not a clear-cut, clean sentence that you can pull from any of his interviews, any of his arguments, any of his, his appearances on television that doesn't, in fact, have him stammering and tripping over his words at every single point. It's remarkable at this point that he still has this and that Donald Trump hasn't booted him out a long time ago. But you can see where the loyalty lies, where loyalty is a lot, it's a lot stronger power to Donald Trump than competency, right? Than being, actually eligible for that position or qualified for that position, I should say. It's that, how loyal he going to be, the same way that he's now trying to nominate, I believe, Todd Blanche to be the permanent head of the DOJ, where before he was just the acting. But he's the personal attorney. He's more than shown himself to be able to do the bidding in the bullshit of Donald Trump. So why would Donald Trump want anybody else? Same thing with Scott. He may stutter, he may stammer, he may look like an idiot at all turns. He may be gay, which is against all of the beliefs of all of the Republicans. But again, he's willing to do the dirty work. He's willing to go out and look like an asshole on behalf of Donald Trump. So he's got, he'll probably always have a role to play until he's not warranted anymore, until he's not necessary. And I'm sure he'll be kicked to the curb just like everybody else has been. But, he goes on here.
DOJ.
Great. You said that you can't because there's ongoing litigation. You'll get me the name of the ongoing litigation, because the only ongoing litigation that I know of is surrounding the $1.8 million slush fund, which has already been suspended. The fact is that the judge's ruling in the litigation that references that slush fund only addresses the anti-weaponization fund. It doesn't even address Trump's immunity from audit. So I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record the judge's order in the Floyd versus Department of Justice case.
Without objection.
Thank you. Now, Secretary, you said you're not an attorney. Is that correct?
Mercifully.
Okay, well, I am, and I'm actually proud to be an attorney and know the laws, and I know how to read a judicial ruling. Furthermore, I know that since 1962, the Supreme Court has held that ongoing litigation does not prevent someone from testifying in a congressional hearing. So once again, I'm going to ask, why are you allowing President Trump and his family to have complete immunity from being audited?
Again, since you're a lawyer, you will understand that the U.S. Treasury and the IRS are represented by the Justice Department and the acting attorney general.
Yes, but I just mentioned a Supreme Court case that doesn't bar you from testifying. It's pretty clear to me, though, however, that you're not interested in answering questions. You're interested in arguing. Let me ask you this question. If President Biden amended a prior tax return and claimed that he was owed $1 billion, do you think that that would be audited, or should it be audited?
I'm not going to talk about
because you're not really here to answer.
He can't even get it out. He doesn't, even the shit arguments he can't get out. At least these other morons, they can get out the shit arguments. Like, they at least can speak and produce sentences. In some cases, obviously not Donald Trump, but at least some of them, they're at times coherent, right? This guy, he can't even get out the arguments.
Questions.
I
don't understand why.
Like, Jesus Christ. Hit the fucking reset button there, Scott. You want to take a break? You want to go out and get a glass of water, Chief? Maybe take the disc out, fucking rub it on your shirt, put it back in. I don't know. Maybe take the Nintendo disc out. You want to blow in it and put it back in. Whatever you got to do to hit the reset, but it ain't gonna cut it here. I'm just gonna tell you that right now.
You wouldn't audit that, and I don't understand why you wouldn't do the same for President Trump. So the ruling.
And by the way, can we all agree that they would lose their ever-loving minds, right? If Biden had any point during his fucking presidency sued his own government for $10 billion because of something about his taxes, like, do you have any idea the reaction? I mean, tan suit. $10 billion suing of your own government. Let's just compare the reactions, if you will, or what the reactions would have been. So good question there. But at the end of this, let me just skip to the end, because she goes on to kind of get him a little bit flustered at the end of this too. Let me see here. I think it's about here.
I would suggest you call them again.
In-laws, his grandchildren, his
Oh, right
second
here. Let
or
me go
third
back. I'll
cousin.
go back just a second. I think I missed it real quick. Here he is. Here it goes.
The Justice
Do
Department.
you have
Excuse
specific
me.
knowledge of an audit of President Trump?
Excuse me. It's my time.
You have specific
You're not here to
knowledge?
ask me questions. I'm here to ask you questions.
Get
and
'em.
hopefully you're here to
Get
try to
'em.
answer some of them. I'm curious to know who counts as Trump's family for the purposes of this immunity. Is it his children, his in-laws, his grandchildren, his second or third cousin, his great-great-grandchildren? Do you know the answer to that question, Mr. Secretary?
Again, I imagine you have the Justice Department phone number. I would suggest you call them.
I'm not the one that runs the Department of the Treasury or that oversees what is happening with this immunity.
And
That
What a
is,
fucking smug prick, right? Like anytime he does manage to get a sentence out, he's just a smug, arrogant piece of shit, right? Basically, you're saying, you have the phone number to DOJ. Don't ask me. I'm not going to answer any questions. Like, shut the fuck up.
has been
I'm not the
granted.
one either. We follow follow the instructions of our lawyers, and we obey the law.
I hope-
Lawyers.
that you're proud of your performance today, Mr. Secretary,
Well,
because I think
I hope you get some
I
social
think it's
media
pretty
clips.
safe to say that this is probably the most corrupt Treasury Department in our nation's history. And while
I am going
while
to
you
have to
dance
take
around questions,
Settle down. Look at how fucking mad he gets. I gotta watch that one again. He actually pounds the table like a badass. Let me hit this table. He probably bruised his knuckles.
Get some
I
social
think it's
media
pretty
clips.
safe to say that this is probably the most corrupt Treasury Department in our nation's history. And
I am going
while
to
you
have
dance
to
around
take
questions
exception
to
with
protect
that is a
Trump,
slanderous
Americans
statement.
are suffering
That is a
in Trump's
slanderous statement.
spiraling economy.
And
Inflation is now rising faster than average hourly wages.
Nah.
Gas prices are at an all-time high with the war in Iran. The cost of groceries has risen 3.2% over the past years, and prices on most goods have gone up because of Trump's tariffs. So I don't see how you could call that anything other than a failure of the most corrupt Treasury Department in history.
Your time has expired, Ms.
I-
Sanchez.
Thank you. My
I'm not
time has
gonna take
expired.
I'm not gonna
Secretary,
take
I would love for
firefighting
you to
here.
respond to the accusations at your department, because I think you are due the opportunity for that.
Just curious, do any Republicans in the chat, are these two the best representatives for you guys over in the Republicans? I know we're a big tent over here. Big tent, very welcoming, very accepting here. But I'm just going to, like, what do you maggots typically think when you hear Mr. Smith here speaking and Scott Bessent as representatives of your movement? I'm just curious. Again, just wondering what you think there, because, but here's Scott Bessent's reply here, and listen to how he tries to get this out.
The Congresswoman is slanderous. She has nothing but the unsubstantiated.
You had one shot, bro. You had one shot. You had the floor. Smithy gave you the floor, right? Fucking Smitty was like, hey, she said shit about you. You got your chance now, buddy. Come back at her. Like, let's see what you got. What did Scott Bessent have? It's like, okay. All right. Glad we gave him the moment to get his words out there.
Opinions, and I will not stand for that. There is nothing corrupt. We move at the high.
Sounds confident, right? Definitely sounds like a guy who's confident in the things that he's saying. Like, I'm just, is it me, or is this the most unconfident human being in the fucking history of the planet? Is this the most incapable, incompetent person to ever hold a position within that guy? I don't know. Just maybe rhetorically, maybe the most fucking piss poor rhetorically that we've ever seen. This is brutal. Okay, this is the most cringeworthy bullshit I've ever seen, and it's the same every time he gets in front of a camera. I think it's gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse. You'd think he'd get some, like, media literacy. He'd get a little bit more comfortable in front of cameras or in front of Congress or answering questions. Nope, not a shot. Listen to this.
The unsubstantiated opinions, and I will not stand for that. There is nothing corrupt. We move at the highest levels. And just because she cannot get the answer she wants, if she would like to give me facts, she seems long on facts, short on facts, long on hot air.
You want another shot at that one? Come on, dude. Good grief. You know, I'm no fucking, but again, I'm not sitting here saying I'm the best speaker, right? I don't have the best words, as Donald Trump would say. I don't work for the administration that doesn't get anything wrong or supposedly have the best fucking and most qualified people represent. So if I flub, if I fucking stutter, if I stammer, if I get something wrong, so fucking be it, right? I'm not within the federal government, but Jesus Christ, to portray yourself as like the alpha strong guy with all the answers, and this is what you fucking give to us when you're in front of cameras is wild.
And I will not stand for that. Yeah, that's great.
Mr. Arrington is recognized.
Disgrace to
Oh, I can't. I fucking can't. He sat like that last moment. He wanted to make a statement so bad, but he couldn't figure out what to say. And then right when he figured out to say disgrace, his buddy interrupted him. his buddy spoke at the same second, which means you couldn't hear what Scott Bessington had to say. Listen.
Mr. Arrington is recognized.
Disgrace to make a remark like that.
Support journalism.
Oh, Jesus. All right. I figured we had to get some laughs in there somewhere. I know the craziness is getting to us all, but good grief, is that guy just the worst of the worst? I just I don't. How do you make it this far in life like
Trust.
that?
Support PBS News.
Sorry, it's playing again.
Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution.
Zip it. What happened? What was just playing in my ear? That was strange.
Today.
All right, stop that. Stop. Oh, here it is right here. I got you. My apologies. It was that video. But yeah, I mean, how does that guy make it this far in life? Honest to God, how the hell do you make it this far in life? How the hell do you accrue? What did somebody in the chat say? He's worth about $1 billion? Worth about $1 billion? Like, how does that happen? Right? I'm sitting here. I'd like to think that, I have a good heart. I like helping people. I want to see people do well. I'd like to see, the working class people in this country get a lot more in return for the work that they've been doing. I don't know. I'd like to think that I'm somewhat educated, but, to see people, me and people like me struggling, and that guy somehow make it to having $1 billion in his bank account and, getting ahead in life is just like, what happened here? Where did we go wrong? What happened? Like, come on. Somebody's got to explain this one to me. Like, I can get out sentences for the most part. He can't. Doesn't that automatically put me above him? I'm just saying. All right, let's dive on to this one. Let's get into some James O'Brien. Throw this one on your screen here. Let me close out a few of these tabs, so hopefully it doesn't slow down the video that we're watching here. Just close out a couple. But yeah, here's James O'Brien throwing me on the screen at 3, 2, 1. Talking about the pledge of fealty to Donald Trump with, again, his Washington correspondent, Simon Marks. So let's dive into this one together and, again, get some of our brain cells back, the one that we just lost while listening to Scott Bessent. Hopefully, James O'Brien, Simon Marks can replenish to some degree the brain cells that we just eradicated from our heads while watching Scott Bessent. But all right, just a couple minutes of this. This says, talking about, this is the CBS situation. So this is the ongoing CBS saga with 60 Minutes and the rest of it. So just their take on this.
Simon Marks is here, or rather there, but here at the same
I'm going to let this play for just a second. I'm going to grab a quick drink. I'll take myself off. You guys can dive into James O'Brien for a second. I'll be right back.
time. And just a quick word on why this matters. CBS is the official US partner of the BBC, and that is why it is of particular interest that they are going through a little local difficulty, Simon.
Yes, I mean, that is now becoming a national story here in the United States, and a story with tentacles that are going to reach into the heart of New Broadcasting House, I think. This is over the firing of Scott Pelley, the former anchorman of the CBS Evening News, a 37-year veteran of the network where Edward R. Murrow, Walter Cronkite, and Dan Rather once read people the news and told people what was going on around the world. But CBS, of course, has now fallen under the ownership of the Ellisons, Larry and David Ellison, father and son team, who...
Hopefully he gets into Barry Weiss as well, because another huge aspect, obviously the Ellisons, another huge aspect of this as well, but...
have themselves pledged fealty to President Donald Trump and are turning CBS into an ever increasingly craven media outlet as far as the White House is concerned. And so Scott Pelley was fired last night from his position at the news magazine 60 Minutes after standing up and objecting to the appointment of the program's new executive producer a few days ago, a man by the name of Nick Bilton, with a pretty thin curriculum vitae in terms of broadcast experience, and certainly thin experience relevant to helming.
So yet another unqualified hack, right? And again, I don't know too much about the gentleman, but from what I'm getting, that's what Scott was talking about. Another person put into position because of the views that he's espoused or what he's willing to go along with, more so than the qualifications that put him in that position, right? And again, pretty rich shit for people that seem to have a big problem with DEI but don't know what DEI actually is. But now all of a sudden, more than happy and more than willing to give these sycophants and loyalists these really important positions of power based off of their loyalty and fealty to Donald Trump. And again, whether that's in the administration, in the media, obviously, we've obviously talked about the attempts here in the second term to quell the media, to make it so that they either are too afraid of lawsuits or just unable because of the amount of right-wing loyalists that are in these places of power in these positions now, that they just won't report on the bad things that Donald Trump are doing. So, we've talked about the fake news and how he's been saying that for 10, 12 years at this point, trying to discredit the news. So when they report something, people inevitably second guess it. This is just, again, his latest, attempt at this fight in trying to take over the media in some way, shape, or form, or at least control it to a certain aspect where he's not afraid that they're going to continuously report on all of the corruption, all of the, the negative data coming out as far as the economy, what the American people are feeling. All of those things is why, he sees the need to take over the media, to get control of all the media, to sue them into silence, whatever he has to do, whatever attempt and plan that he has to, unveil or unleash, that's what he's going to try to do. So again, it's filtered down here to CBS in quite a dramatic way. Obviously we're talking about 60 Minutes here, but the channel as a whole has pretty much gone fucking downhill again.
Most watched news magazine program in America for decades. Prominent correspondents have been fired from CBS, most notably a woman called Sharon Alfonsi, who, of course, saw a report that she had produced about the Trump administration's decision to fly undocumented illegal aliens out of the country to a terrorist detention center in El Salvador. She did a big investigative piece about that was delayed from being transmitted for weeks after Barry Weiss, the woman who is now editor-in-chief of CBS News, weighed in and said that the piece needed to have a voice from the Trump administration. It was pointed out to her that the Trump administration had been approached for comment and had refused to put anybody up for interview, and the piece was still delayed from being transmitted for weeks. Scott Pelley confronted all of this in a staff meeting last week at CBS 60 Minutes, confronted the new executive producer of the program, said that under Barry Weiss's leadership of CBS, 60 Minutes is being, in his words, murdered. He was peremptorily fired last night, essentially for insubordination towards the new leader of the program, but he has responded with a devastating statement that says, last month, 60 Minutes lost its DNA when our entire senior leadership and two of our best on-air correspondents were cruelly fired without cause. They stood for fairness against the forces of political bias. They stood for professionalism against chaos. He says that for his part, the new management has instructed me to inject falsehoods and bias into a politically sensitive story. I've been told to include assertions that are untrue. He also says that in one case, a story that he was involved in, the entire program came within 19 minutes of not getting on air at all due to what he describes as the incompetence and unprofessionalism of the new management. But these claims of political bias, which are being repeated by multiple figures still at the network and several who have left, creates a real issue for the BBC, which continues to use CBS as its official US news partner, doesn't disclose to the public when it cites CBS that these issues are now bedeviling the network, and of course is in a very difficult position because it's being sued by Donald Trump for $10 billion, and any attempt to kind of move away from CBS might only inflame the president of the United States.
So you hear that? You see what position and like what the lawsuits have now done? So he's talking about BBC, which was, party to one of Donald Trump's lawsuits because what was that? Was that the editing of one of the speeches? I forget at this point what the hell they did something. They put an AI video or something at this point where Donald Trump found it necessary to sue them. Obviously, CBS, as we're talking about here, long been in the news for their switch. Their kind of their ruining of their platform, ruining of their channel right now, and the people that they're hiring, the sycophancy shown to Donald Trump. All of that, and you combine those two, that BBC uses CBS as their American affiliate, and now the BBC has to kind of figure out, okay, are we going to call this out? Are we going to tell people what's going on? Or are we too scared because Donald Trump may retaliate against us the way that he did the last time? We've already been under his fucking thumb for this long. It gives them pause, and cause for concern, gives them like this like, I don't know, second guessing aspect, which is exactly what Donald Trump wants. He wants them to, at CBS, think about, should we post this article, right? Is this going to piss off the president? If it is, maybe we shouldn't post it. The BBC, should we talk about what's going on at CBS? Maybe we shouldn't because it'll piss off Trump. Like, these things are now being discussed. I can assure you in the boardrooms of the people at the BBC, at CBS, and where it wasn't prior, where it wasn't being spoken like that, it wasn't being talked about like that, the threat from the government and retaliation from the government if, again, you just report on facts from the government. You know what I mean? So I just want to go on real quick and hear what James O'Brien's response, or if he just asked another question. I'm curious what he thinks about this whole thing.
I mean, the implication, if that's a strong enough word, clearly being that the CBS is being turned into an outlet that will not brook or allow criticism of Donald Trump, and worse, that all coverage has to reflect whatever it is that Donald Trump wants to hear. A situation that's unlikely to be criticised by Tony Blair anytime soon, Simon, given that he has gifted, at the time of talking, about £257 million to the Tony Blair Institute. But I digress. At least there's good news over at intelligence. This guy, Bill Pult, he looks like a very experienced spy. I mean, he's practically James Bond crossed with... think of a very famous American spy quickly.
Yeah, so now they're on to ridiculing the DNI replacement for Tulsi Gabbard. The guy that received, what was it, a Bill Pull Fox Award? I think you can go back, you can look that up on the internet, and you can actually look at that where he receives, I don't know if it was like a live podcast or what the fuck was going on, or some like weird event he was at. Actually received, again, Tulsi Gabbard's replacement, if I'm not mistaken, did receive a Bill Pull Fox Award, something along those lines. Just, really qualified people, obviously, and no intelligence, no intelligence qualifications, no intelligence background whatsoever, as far as I've last heard. But you guys let me know, because here they are questioning that too.
It's like the American James Bond, Sheila. This joke's not working at all.
There's no American James Bond.
Matt Damon. Who does Matt Damon play? Anyway,
Bourne.
He's basically the American James Bond, Simon.
Yeah, there is no American James Bond, and he certainly isn't. You're talking about Bill Pulte, who's just been named the new Director of National Intelligence by President Trump, acting to replace Tulsi Gabbard, who, of course, has quit the government over as a result of her husband's cancer diagnosis. She says that she needs to be with him and can't remain in post. Bill Pulte has come across from the country's housing regulator, where he has been accused of producing evidence that investigators can use to bring possible criminal cases against figures that have wronged Donald Trump, particularly accusations, for example, of mortgage fraud that have been brought against a couple of figures here. And all of this just underscores the nature of a government that has no interest in qualifications for a position like Director of National Intelligence. The real qualification you've got to have is complete loyalty to the boss.
A position.
And Bill catapulti demonstrates that in spades.
Indeed, and a background in real estate development, perhaps even inevitably, you could say now. And it's a position that was created, of course, in the aftermath of the September 11th terrorist attack. So on the one hand, reward loyalty. On the other, excuse criminality if loyalty is part of the play. That side of the Trump project not going so well today.
No, the weaponization fund that we were talking about last week, this $1.776 billion fund. Jack Ryan.
Carry on, Simon. Sorry, Simon.
But he's no James.
He wasn't even thinking of Jack Ryan. He was thinking of Jason Bourne. He said Matt Damon. Matt Damon never played Jack Ryan. Harrison Ford, a bunch of other people played some Jack Ryan characters. Not Matt Damon. Matt Damon played Jason Bourne. Let's get that right, okay? We're not going to go messing up these Boston actors and the places, the parts that they were playing here. Not on this broadcast, gentlemen.
That $1.776 billion weaponization fund is now going away, according to the acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. So no payout coming for the January the 6th insurrectionists. But important to underscore that the elements of the deal that Donald Trump struck, immunity from any further investigation into his past tax affairs or the past tax affairs of his businesses or the past tax affairs of his immediate family members, that absolutely stays in play. And that may be far more valuable to him than that weaponization fund was ever going to be.
Great stuff. Yeah. And Jason Bourne, of course. But that you're right to repeat that. It's one of those things you can't repeat too much, isn't it? An immunity from investigation for the tax affairs of your entire family. It's like the Borgias.
Can I just show you what kind of sums up this right here? This right here, and I'll get out of the way real quick. This look right here from James O'Brien pretty much sums up what's taking place right now with our government, right? If you need an
Jason
accurate
Bourne, of course,
representation,
you're right to repeat that.
If you need an accurate representation, right, about what people outside of this country think, how they view the reactions that they have to what's taking place both inside of this country and obviously within, the walls of our government. This is the most accurate representation I could think of. Okay. This is probably the most, widely seen reaction, I would think, to news abroad from about what's going on here in the United States, the actions about the wars that we're enacting abroad, obviously the actions about what's taking place obviously here in our own country within these installations of sycophants and these crimes and the obvious corruption and the fraud. If you're looking for kind of like, okay, what are they thinking? What are the people outside of the United States thinking? This is it right here. That's it. Right there. That is just the look of utter bewilderment, frustration, astonishment. Pick your poison as far as words you could use to describe kind of the emotions and the feelings of again, everybody. And I'm sure a lot of us here in this chat, a lot of us here in this community at a lot of points during the day are doing the same thing. Like, what in the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? So again, I feel your pain, James. I feel your pain, my man. All right, let's dive on here real quick. To the next clip, this next moron I want to talk about. We haven't talked about him in a couple shows. So Benny Johnson's back. And before we get into the video, let's just see here, because he's talking about the election scamming. And I don't even really know if we have to dive into really much, but I just want to show you how obsessed he is with Spencer Pratt. Right. So let's just go back here a little bit and we'll take a look at some of the thumbnails he created. We'll just stop. We'll just go up here. We'll stop right here. Okay. So Spencer Pratt, number 1, 5 days ago. And I'm sure there's been a ton more since then, right? We'll keep going. Spencer Pratt over here with Bill Maher. Okay. So he's got that one as well. Spencer Pratt right there in the middle. What is that? Is that Jake Tapper he's silencing? So I guess he silenced Jake Tapper as well. Okay. Then we'll keep going. Spencer Pratt. Here we go. Spencer Pratt right there. Spencer Pratt's final campaign. And then you got Spencer Pratt again. Dems caught burning ballots in LA as voters flood the polls. Now let's hear that first. I got to hear this because did you guys hear any of this about the Dems caught burning ballots? What's he saying here? I got to know.
This is a red alert. It is actually happening, ladies and gentlemen. California is going red. Look at these early vote numbers from Los Angeles. Early in-person voting, Republicans 42%.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Why don't you show the results? Right? What are we showing by percentage here? Why not show the actual results in who got how many votes and what percentage of those votes the people got? Because the last time I checked, Karen Bass got the most, right? Karen Bass got the most? And if Karen Bass got the most, does that really detail and depict, in a Los Angeles that's going red? And again, you could point to the percentages there if you want and probably come up with some argument as to why that percentage is so high, obviously, and we can have, a talk about that. But can we just focus upon the fact that he's reporting it like this for a specific reason?
Democrats, 38%. So just on the pure numbers, Republicans are beating Democrats by 5 points in LA where they
No. What?
Have a double-digit voter advantage for Democrats. Understand how unprecedented this is, but then no other party is at 20%. Those are the people who are not voting for Karen Bass, no matter what happens.
What? So come on. How much can you possibly get from a 2-word tweet like that?
They are not voting for the institutional DEI communists. Are they voting for Nikki Rahman? Are they voting for Spencer Pratt? I believe they are voting for Spencer Pratt. They don't want to say that they're MAGA.
I believe. So now it's all of a sudden, before it was this no party, this 20% definitely wasn't voting for Karen Bass. And now all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, it's I believe they're not voting for Karen Bass.
Want to say that they're Republican. They don't want the stigma, but they want change. You're seeing that here in Los Angeles going red. Look at this. It is a 9-alarm fire for Democrats right now. The early vote.
9-alarm fire. Shut in the fucking fronteth dooreth, you piece of shit. Is he ever even going to show does he show the results on this at all? I don't even think he does. He goes this whole time without actually showing the results. Still hasn't shown him in the background. Just he shows Joe Biden though. Of course, he's got to get a Joe Biden clip in there. Doesn't show the actual results from that night. Let me see. Does he show? Sorry, I'm just scrolling around in the background. I know it's dark, but I can still make out what he's seeing there. Nope, he's already talking about something else. He doesn't even ever show the results. Jesus Christ. Oh, what do we got here? Does he actually show something?
Versus Democrat versus.
Nope, that's growth. So again, he has to find all of these different data sets that actually make it seem like they're doing better than they are without actually showing the specific results themselves. But again, that's what propagandists do. That's why they have to continuously try to point out anything, like we continuously say, pull victory out of the jaws of defeat every single time. But, there is a case to be made for what the fuck was going on in California as for the amount of people that did vote for Spencer Pratt or, did vote, the wrong way in the governor's race as well. So, again, as far as that is concerned, I think that's a legitimate argument that we could have. What the fuck is going on? What's wrong with people? What are you seeing and feeling that everybody else in the country isn't? Why aren't you, again, upset with the correct people? And why don't you look at the correct people that need to change and can change the way things are going and put them into, Spencer fucking Pratt? What the fuck are we doing? We didn't learn our lesson from reality TV show dickheads in the first place, right? With Donald Trump, we didn't learn that lesson. So anyway, speaking of reality show dickheads, here's Donald Trump Jr. There's a good segue, huh? I built that segue in nicely. All right, but this is just a quick clip. We don't have to watch too much of this anyway. This is just him doing his best to try to look like an alpha man, a strong man, a tough guy, and going after James Tyler Rico, much like, the Republicans have. He's using the same talking points. He doesn't have anything, he doesn't have anything unique to say. He's not calling out the policies. He's not doing anything like that, but he is repeating what Ken Paxton has said and, Ted Cruz and a bunch of these other fucking jokers is, the vegan and 28 genders, whatever. Anyways, he goes on here to try to get one over on James Tyler Rico, and it doesn't go so well for him. I don't know if there's a teleprompter malfunction or a Don Jr. brain malfunction. One of the two things I'm guessing is happening, or again, the cocaine just at this very moment decided to kick in, which gave him a little jolt, and he had to pause for a second. But you tell me if you can see at what point either the brain stops working or the teleprompter is broken, and what he actually calls James Tyler Rico. I'm still not sure what title he gives him, but let me know in the chat what he says, what you think he says at least.
Okay. Learning.
Guys, welcome to the show, guys. Fucking idiot.
About finance. I know we spent a lot of time learning about the 4,396 genders. Learning about finance at a young age, being vested, having an interest in it, that's a really big deal. Contrast that to what we're seeing on the left. complete self-parody at every turn, and robotic rehearsed talking points, quite literally. But don't take my word for it, guys.
Robotic rehearsed talking points. Again, you mean like 2 weeks? Kind of like, the healthcare, our healthcare plan will be here in 2 weeks. This will be here in 2 weeks. Iran's going to have a nuke in 2 weeks. Or are you talking about like, I know more about this than anybody, or, I have the best words, like these type of rehearsed scripted things that your father says every single time he's in front of a camera or caught in a corner, like those things you're thinking. But here he is again, trying to go after James Tallarico.
Here's Texas decorations.
Texas decorations? Here's Texas decorations. What? I'll let him finish the whole sentence. But starting off with here's fucking Texas decorations when introducing a clip here of James Tallarico. What? What?
Rehearsed talking points, quite literally. But don't take my word for it, guys. Here's Texas decorations Senate candidate James Tallarico.
Texas decorations candidate? What? That's why I don't know. Was that a teleprompter mistake? But even if it was a teleprompter mistake, you'd think you wouldn't fucking Ron Burgundy the shit out of it and just read whatever it said. You'd think you'd be able to be like, okay, clearly that doesn't mean to say declarations or decorations. Maybe it means to say democratic or something. I don't know. That's the only thing I can come up with is democratic, maybe, is what it was supposed to say. But was that a brain? Was that a brain freeze or a teleprompter problem on that one? Let's one more time on that. The Texas decorations candidate. Alvin says he's worse than Besant. Imagine fucking Don Jr. and Scott Besant having a conversation together. No, I don't know. We should research that and see if Scott Besant's ever been on the Triggered podcast with Don Jr. because that might be the most insufferable conversation you could possibly imagine. All right, but one more time. The James Tallarico, the Texas decorations candidate.
Here's Texas decorations Senate candidate James Tallarico.
No, nailed it. Spot on. No notes. I don't think there's anything we need to change or edit in that whatsoever. I think we should actually just let that go out just as is. I don't think anybody will make fun of that. I think they'll probably understand what you're saying when you said Texas decorations candidate Senate. I'm sure that'll be crystal clear for everybody that's watching. I'm sorry. I got to get that one more time. Let's get the full sentence here. And again, anybody that's just joining us, this is Donald Trump Jr.'s attempt to remove the Coke brain, to remove the Coke jaw, and to introduce James Tallarico, again, the Senate Texas candidate decorations person.
Seeing on the left, complete self-parody at every turn, and robotic rehearsed talking points, quite literally. But don't take my word for it, guys. Here's Texas decorations Senate candidate James Tallarico.
Corner of Texas.
Oh shit, it's too good. It's too good. And these people got hundreds of millions of dollars, motherfuckers. Hundreds of millions of dollars. All the everything, the amenities, everything they could possibly want at their fucking fingertips. Meanwhile, the rest of us are struggling daily through life, just fucking fighting tooth and nail to keep our head above water so that we could breathe every single day. Just unbelievable. These people, the people that succeed. And he's talking about like this polished, scripted, statements that a ton of politicians use, right? Especially if they got good ones, and especially if they hit with the people that it's supposed to hit with. Probably good to continue to use those. Like a lot of politicians make speeches in different counties, like different places within their subset, within their community. And, again, they're not talking to everybody at the same time. So it's like a comedian, right? A lot of times the comedians will use the same joke, but it's not to the same crowd, right? It's to different crowds. But, that crowd hasn't heard that joke yet. Obviously now on, with social media, it's getting more and more difficult to have that happen where people didn't see a specific joke because they weren't in attendance. But still, I'm sure you get the comparison there. But, the fact that politicians do this isn't a surprise, and maybe, just maybe, Don Jr., based off of the way that you introduced James Tallarico, maybe you should do a little bit more fucking polishing, right? Maybe less turd polishing, more rhetoric polishing, maybe more rehearsals here for your podcast would be great, so you don't say shit like this.
Self-parody at every turn, and robotic rehearsed talking points, quite literally. But don't take my word for it, guys.
I won't.
Here's Texas decorations Senate candidate James Tallarico.
Killed it. Fucking killed it. Hire him now. How this guy doesn't have more sponsors for this podcast, I don't know. Why doesn't this guy have more power within our government? This brilliant piece of shit here should definitely have more responsibility. The decorations. It says the decorations. The fucking decorations candidate. What is that? What is that? What is it? Like, I would have to assume the Democratic, right? That would probably be the most logical response or logical thought as to like what was supposed to be on the teleprompter or what he was supposed to have said. But again, your guess is as good as mine. Let me know in the chat what you think happened there. Did the code kick in? Did the teleprompter go out? Did Don Jr.'s brain just absolutely collapse like his father's is doing on a daily basis? I'm not sure, but definitely didn't go the way he thought it was going to go. All right, let's see if we can dive into this next story. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for dealing with my nonsense and liking and sharing and subscribing and getting us to, on the road to 25,000 subscribers here on Blunt Politics, which is just a massive achievement. And I can't express my gratitude and my appreciation for you guys in this community that we've built here enough. So again, I hope I get that through to you guys. I know, being a chatter myself and being, a listener of all of the different accounts and channels that you guys listen to as well, you don't hear it much, right? You don't hear the appreciation. You don't hear, kind of the recognition of how much that you guys do for these platforms and how much you're expected to do, right? Every channel's asking you to donate. Every channel's asking you to get involved with this fundraiser or that fundraiser or buy this product or do that. We don't do that here. Obviously, the fundraisers we're absolutely a part of, but, not selling you any ridiculous products that's going to cost you an exorbitant fucking amount of money or an arm and a leg for some green juice or some stupid fucking mattress I've never slept on or some, I don't know, whatever it may be that they're trying to sell you nowadays. But we don't do that here. So again, if you see some value, if you like coming back because of me or the community or the chat, please think about kicking in $1. $1 is all we ask for. Anything above and beyond that is 100% up to you guys. I just continuously think if the what do we got? Less than 300 people watching now. If everybody gave $1 or $2, how much of a difference that could make to this, and how much more we could do with that reach and with that ability. So if you could share the stream out, if you could like it, put it on your social medias, that would be a huge boost, and I would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's throw this on your screen now because a couple updates coming from Ukraine, also coming from Ukraine into Russia. So this is Kate from Kharkiv here, and thank you everybody on the YouTube side of things as well. You can sign up, for a membership just underneath me here for YouTube. Less than a gallon of gas. You can get a YouTube membership for an entire month. You can donate memberships and gift memberships to people, or you could just throw in a super chat or a super sticker. Like I said, $1 or $2, some couch cushion money, anything like that anything goes to help. So very much appreciated. But this is, again, like I said, reported by or put out on Twitter by Kate from Kharkiv, talking about a Russian corvette, the Boyki, in Kronstadt that looks unwell after Ukrainian drone strike on June 3rd. So let's just see if we can dive into this clip right here about a successful strike on another Russian warship. At this time looking like it has another successful impact and causing pretty substantial damage. Let's see here, just a really quick clip. And you can see the remnants of what was a pretty large, I'll get out of your way real quick. You can see just behind me the remnants of what is obvious evidence of a pretty large explosion, right? Whether that's stuff coming off the ship or just, something that was on the docks there that didn't survive the explosion. You can clearly see the remnants, but could also be the case that it's just a shitty Russian port as well. And that's just always what it looks like. But, obviously heavy fire, heavy smoke on the strip. You can hear people in the background kind of frantically yelling, trying to figure out what fight to fight first.
Это пиздец просто. Нас ебало.
But of course, the Russians doing what the Russians do best, sit around watching film so they can put it out on social media and Telegram so that the Ukrainians can know exactly how successful these strikes were, and that people like me, podcasters like me that cover these things, can use this evidence in these clips. So again, doesn't look like the crackdown on the internet, and more specifically Telegram, is having the effect that Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin would like it to have. But let's see if we can go down here and see if there's any. Oh yeah, there was this again. You'll see people like, what's the guy's name? Jackson Hinkle. Every single time a drone is intercepted or spoofed by the Russians and lands, again, not even remotely close to the target that it was originally going for, but off target, they utilize that for their propaganda purposes, when in fact we can come back with them time and time again with footage like this. This is again from Kate from Kharkiv, and says Russian strike on an ambulance in Kherson today. Russia is systematically tearing Kherson apart, committing one war crime after another. The city is in a desperate, critical situation. And again, this looks every bit of calculated and a targeted strike, the way that you can see. And let me get out of the way real quick. I'll pause this, start from the beginning. I'll get out of the way, and you can see as the ambulance backs up, you can see the drone come in from the right side of your screen, and it's not a mistake. This isn't a drone that was shot down. This isn't remnants of a drone. This is an FPV drone flying at fucking street level, going after this ambulance specifically. Right. And again, I don't think I need to, explain to anybody or reiterate the disgusting act of going after medical service workers. Right. I mean, this is a clear cut Israeli tactic where they'll love to get, they'll do one strike, wait till all the rescuers come, wait till the people show up, wait till they start digging out from the rubble, and then they'll hit it again with another strike just to get and kill the people that originally showed up for the rescue of the original strike. So here, check this out. Watch on the right side of your screen, the drone come in and hit the front of this ambulance. And luckily for this woman, you can see the drone just there, right? So here's the drone right here coming in. Doesn't look like it's off target. Doesn't look like it's off kilter. Doesn't look like it's coming in and just going for some random parking lot, and this ambulance just happened to get in the way. Looks like it's flying straight, level, and true right at the front of this ambulance. And you know what saved this woman? Is the fact that she's driving on the right side. The fact that the steering wheel was not on the side that the drone struck, right? So she was... I'm sure injured to some extent, but was able to get out of this. But here's that impact again. But there's that drone you can see coming in from the right. I mean, that's clearly a targeted strike, and there's just no other way to go about that. It even turns at the end the same route that she was turning, right? So look at the way that it's oriented. Look at the orientation of that. So, and then you can see just at the end here where she's kind of, see how her wheels are turned? See how the wheels are turned and she's going back at an angle, kind of like that semicircle that she's going in? Well, look at the drone, right? Because it even does that at the last turn. You can see the angle and the orientation of that drone is now different there than it was just here, right? So it actually made a right turn to go after that ambulance. There's the moment of impact. I'll play it full speed, and you can see, like I said, luckily the woman was able to get out of the ambulance, and hopefully she is okay. Coming in, strike. Woman immediately gets out, covers her head. Looks like she's able to at least run okay. But, that's just pretty clear evidence as far as I could tell, as far as the evidence I'm pointing out here of a pretty calculated strike on an ambulance, on rescue workers, on EMS, right? I mean, that's just, it's clear that it turns there. It's fucking very clear. Now we're almost looking at the back of the drone, whereas here you can't even see what we're looking at the final moments of the drone. We're now looking at a completely different orientated drone right there. So pretty clear evidence as to what the Russians were going after as far as that was concerned as well. Let's see here. This is Kate from Kharkiv as well. It says, Rubio, invasion of Ukraine has been a strategic disaster for Russians. They are not going to achieve objectives they set out on day one for certain, and they may not even be able to militarily ever achieve objectives they're demanding now in negotiations. So again, let's see here what Marco Rubio was stating. And you know, the hypocrisy of Marco Rubio saying this allegedly, or apparently, as we're about to find out, about Ukraine, but being unable or unwilling to recognize the same aspects about the United States and the Iran war, right? So we are Russia as far as the Iran war is concerned, okay? Russia is quite clearly losing the war against Ukraine, is quite clearly not able to set out and achieve the objectives that they set out to achieve in the first place, much like the Russians. Much like the fucking Russians right now. They're losing their war with Ukraine, and they'll never be able to achieve the objectives that they set out to originally achieve, ever. So again, the similarities there are pretty blatant and clear, and staring Marco Rubio right in his fucking, size 18 shoes that are about 19 sizes too big for his ass, but Donald Trump gave them to him, so he's got to wear them. You know what I mean? But again, let's just see here what he's saying as far as Russia's, I guess, inability to win this war from Marco Rubio.
Back to your point that you made a moment ago, I don't think there's any doubt at this point in the minds of most observers around the world, and I would say in the minds of some inside of Russia, that the invasion of Ukraine has been a strategic disaster for them. They are not going to achieve the objectives they set out on day one for certain, and they may not even be able to militarily ever achieve the objectives they're demanding now in negotiations. I would also say that how we have viewed it is this war has no military solution. It has to have a negotiated settlement to it, and that's the role we've tried to play, and it's been a difficult role to play because, frankly, we're not an impartial mediator. We sanction Russia, and we are providing and have sold weapons through the Pearl program, which has remained unimpeded, to the Ukrainians. Unfortunately, those talks have stalled in recent months for a variety of reasons. The Ukrainians have actually made some battlefield gains in the last month as well. The Russians are losing 5,000, not in...
Holy fucking earlobes. Holy shit. Why did I just look at that? Oh my God. What is that? You could land a squadron of U.S. fucking air, warplanes on his ears. Oh my good God. What is happening there? And I know they continue to grow, but what is he, 1,000 years old? Look at those ears and the lobes. It looks like at one point he had, like, what do you call them? The gauges or something? Like, was Marco Rubio, did he have gauges in at one point? Like, what is happening with those? I know, side note, sidebar here, but Jesus Christ, I just got a glimpse of that and I was like, holy shit. His fucking ears are the same size of his head almost. It's like, all right, sorry. I digress. My apologies.
Dying. In fact, it is the first conflict, according to the Department of War, it is one of the first conflicts ever in which the death rate is higher than the casualty rate on the Russian side. It's the first time ever that you have more deaths than casualties. So you're right. Not only are the Ukrainians bravely fighting, they're effectively fighting. So the role we want to play is if there's a way to negotiate this thing to a peaceful...
But we're still going to keep the $400 million that was supposed to have been released a long time ago by Pete Hegseth and the Pentagon. We're still going to keep that wrapped up. So again, the back and forth here, along the lines of like the bullshit they've spewed against NATO, while also begging for NATO's help. The shit that they've said against the UN, now begging for the UN's help. The shit that they've said against Ukraine, now all of a sudden they're willing to recognize the successes that Ukraine has seen, at least recently here. So again, no credit, no flowers for that one. But the blatant, the glaring part of this is the unwillingness to recognize the situation that the United States is in. That is very much along the lines of the situation that the Russians are in. You know what I mean? Just inability to complete your goals, and the more you continue, the more devastation and destruction is going to get caused, right? So to put it generally, to put it mildly, let's see here. This was on June 4th. Ukraine observes the Remembrance Day for children's victims of the war. Local authorities joined in laying flowers at the monument dedicated to the child victims, of Russian invasion of Ukraine. According to regional authorities, 113 children have been killed in Kharkiv region since the start of the full-scale invasion. Absolute fucking shame. This is occupied Donetsk region. Ukraine continues to strike Russian logistics on occupied territories. Very interesting where it is going. We've talked about this. the attack on the ongoing attack on logistics. So I think that was it from that one. Let me throw. Oh, did you guys see this? Did you guys? I'll throw myself back on the screen real quick and see if I can pull that up. Do I have any Instagram open? I don't. All right, so let me close this one out. Did you guys see the Kaylin Robinson reporting from Ireland? Like, how frustrating is that? And I'm not sure if you guys have seen. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick in the background. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. But Kaylin Robinson, and these are just quick shorts, has been going around Ireland, right? And he's been doing some pretty good reporting and detailing on a Russian facility, right? A Russian facility inside of Ireland that is responsible for sending, I believe he says, about 14 ships every week or every month to Russia to help them consistently fight their war, to feed their war effort. I believe it's aluminum, if I'm not mistaken. But let me see if I can throw this in real quick, because the cowardice of the councilmen in Ireland is fucking astonishing, right? And these are just a couple quick clips. Let me see if I can. Was it this one? Let me see real quick. Apologize if I play these in the background. Trying to figure out which one is this. Yeah, I'll play it. Let me throw this one on because this is about the same thing. Exit out, throw it on your screen. All right, I'll play this from the beginning.
So I've spent weeks here trying to get answers about the Russian-owned refinery that's right here on the west coast of Ireland. And almost no politicians want to talk about it. Everyone's been avoiding questions, emails, and phone calls. So I've come here to this village in rural Limerick to try and speak to one of the most senior Irish politicians who has defended the refinery. This is a guy who has said that sanctions shouldn't be placed on this and who's basically avoided questions from the beginning. And I've come to ask a simple question.
So again, just to reiterate, this is fucking Ireland, right? This is a small village in Ireland, right? But a Russian plant. They got Russian signs everywhere, and the fucking war effort is being directly funded by these shipments, by the material that gets, fucking, put on ships here and sent to Russia to help fight their war effort. And again, the cowardice by some of the people that he speaks to, one in particular in this one, and I think one in particular in one of the more recent shorts that he's done, where he kind of flips the script. He says, okay, well, let's just say it was an IDF or it was an Israeli plant. Right? Would you want to put sanctions on it then? And the councilman says, clear cut, yes, I would, because I have problems with Netanyahu. So you're saying outright that you have no problems with Vladimir Putin and his kidnapping of Ukrainian children and obviously the war crimes that he continues to commit on a nightly basis? Fucking blows my mind, right? The people that I thought, right, at least these guys not standing up for Irish independence, for Irish freedom, and that fight and that grit that is supposed to be within the Irish people, that I know is within the Irish people, but just not these fucking cowards, apparently.
Why is a Russian-owned refinery sitting right here on the west coast of Ireland still exporting materials to Russia's war machine 4 years into the full-scale invasion?
If we were to sanction Ahinish and stop sending its alumina, Ahinish's alumina to Russia, it would have no impact in Russia.
So what if there was an investigation? If that concludes that the material that's been sent out of this refinery is going to Russia's war machine, specifically weapons, would you then endorse sanctions? What do you think should be done if that happens?
I wouldn't get into hypothetics.
I really want to get into hypothetics. If the material that's being exported is going to Russia's war machine, missiles and drones, would you endorse sanctions? Technically, the ships leaving would become warships in some ways.
I'd give a comment on that if we had a definitive position in relation.
Absolute fucking coward, right? Absolute, outright, and utter fucking coward, this piece of shit.
To it, okay?
Why are politicians skirting around the issue so much? I mean, I've contacted you, I've tried to call your number lots in the last few days. I haven't got a response. In answering these questions, it seems like it's a very simple answer. If they're supplying Russia's war machine, then there should be sanctions or new ownership, right? So people still keep their jobs. Why is that so difficult to answer?
They're not perfect tools, sanctions. They're never going to be perfect. We have international laws, Some states uphold international law, other states completely flout international law. That's unfortunately the nature of the globalized world that we're living in at the moment.
And while Russia is still waging its war on the biggest country in Europe, you wouldn't have any moral concerns with this still being part of it, financially even. I mean, 14 ships every month go to St. Petersburg, directly from the port here.
I don't think it should be sanctioned. There's no Russians working there. It's all
Why are there
Irish
signs
people.
in Russian, do you think?
I don't know.
No idea.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because it's strange. We're here in the west of Ireland and there's signs in Russian everywhere.
Yeah.
You don't think it's weird?
I don't know. There's not
absolute fucking cowards. There's another one here, and in case you're interested in a little bit more about this, he's got this one as well, where he kind of does.
So I've been in Ireland for a week.
He's got the boards behind him, where he kind of talks about what's going on with this plant, how much it makes, who's involved with it. But I did see one. Let me see here. Was there another? He was talking to another one of these politicians. Was it this one or this one? I thought I saw it this morning. Let me see if I can find it here. Was it this one?
Behind me is a Russian-owned refinery right here on the west coast of Ireland. And this morning, we watched this ship carrying 2,000 tons of raw alumina to St. Petersburg, right here from this village. And that wasn't just one ship. That happens 14 times a month. This is one of the most shameful loopholes right now in Europe, and almost nobody in Irish politics wants to talk about it. And this means Ireland is no longer militarily neutral and has been directly linked with Russia's military machine. That means the materials that are refined right here in this factory go to missiles, go to drones that kill civilians every day in Ukraine. And even standing here as an Irish citizen, as an Irish journalist, it feels shameful to even talk about it. For years, Ireland has said that it stands with Ukraine.
We are with you for as long as it takes.
They post flags, they make speeches, and they talk about democracy, freedom, and values.
I might be able, I think I actually left a comment on it. Here, let me see if I can find, let me go to my profile, see if because if I left a comment on it, I think it might still be there. I might be able to find it. Give me a second. Was it that one? Oh, not that one. This one? Can you go to, how do you find things that you've liked? Reposted, maybe? Let's see, that one, this one, that one. No, here, let me see. My apologies. I'm going to go to more activity comments. Yeah, here it is right here. I got you. Okay, yeah, how do I get to that one? How do I get to that post? Select this one. Oh, I don't want to delete it. I want to go to it. How do I get to that interaction? Not going to let me? Well, apparently it doesn't want to let me get to that interaction. But I did leave a comment. I said, this is the most brutally insane and cowardly logic I think I've ever heard. Shameful and embarrassing for him. And this is the one where, you know, he poses the question, if it was Netanyahu doing this, would you have a problem? So let me see. Maybe it's in the likes. I hate when this happens because I know I liked it. I know I saw it. I just saw that I left a comment, but for some reason it just doesn't show up in your. And let me go to, maybe I can go to his page more directly. I don't know why it wouldn't be there. Search Kalen again. Because I thought it was pretty telling again where he didn't he didn't answer the question. You know, he said he wouldn't do it if it was Putin, but he would do it if it was Netanyahu. Why can't I do? It was on his maybe it's this one. Let me see. It was in this. No, back again.
Would you support sanctions? No, I wouldn't sanction it because people's livelihoods are on the line here.
So this is another compliment.
What's happening here is
pause. This is another councilman apparently that he's talking to. He says, I asked the local consul at the Russian refinery here in Ireland should be sanctioned. He said yes if it was Israel, but no if it was Russia. So again, where that fucking logic is like how that's reasoned and logic, like what's going on there? How do you come to that conclusion right now that you would do it if it was Netanyahu, but you're not going to do it and you don't want to see it happen because it's Russia? Like again, world pariahs, anybody? But here's again where he poses that question. If it's Netanyahu, would you do it? If it's Russia, would you do it? Listen,
Russia's war
fucking absolutely embarrassing. This guy's answer is
the murder of Ukrainians every day.
Well, there is always a moral issue.
Oop, what happened? Where'd it go? Did it stop? I'll play it again.
Would you support sanctions? No, I wouldn't sanction it because people's livelihoods are on the line here.
But if it turns out that what's happening here is fueling, Russia's war machine, the murder of Ukrainians every day.
Well, there is always a moral issue. There is a moral issue. We have the same with regard to Palestine.
If the refinery was sending materials to Netanyahu, would you say it should be sanctioned?
I won't. I'd have problems with Mr. Netanyahu.
Why Netanyahu, not Putin?
Well, they're a Russian company. And that's the answer.
No, that's not an answer. That's ridiculous. Yes, we know it's a Russian company. But again, that has no bearing on why you're saying you wouldn't sanction Russia engaged in a full-scale war, right? A legal war, war crimes involved continuously on a nightly basis, striking inside civilian targets, much like what's going on with Netanyahu, right? Different parts of the planet, different goals and objectives, different tools being used, same maniacal fucking pieces of shit at the helm, right? At the head of this. So again, why you can discriminate against one but not the other is wild to me. And how blatantly he says yes if it was Netanyahu, but no if it was Russia, and he has no real answer besides it's a Russian company. Okay, so why do you have signs, Russian signs, all over the fucking place in West Ireland? In what do you say? It was Limerick, I believe. Like, what the fuck's that all about? Like, can you if there's no Russians working there, right? Why would the signs be in Russian? Just, can anybody answer that? But this shit is just, it fucking irked me to no end. The cowardice of these assholes and the blatant hypocrisy there. He was the one that brought up Palestine. So Kalin did a great job at saying, okay, well, if this factory was sending shit to Israel to help him fund his war, would you sanction it? Yes, sir, I would. He says, okay, well, you won't if it's Putin. No. Like, okay, fucking, how does that make any sense?
They're supplying Russia.
There's an investigation right now, it's still ongoing, on whether the material that leaves that refinery ends up in Russia's war machine, not just Russia generally. If that comes out that it is, what would you say should be done?
Well, I would say it's a matter for the cabinet to discuss and decide on.
Yeah.
And if they pull out of here, you know, the consequences, there'll be, there are several issues in the background here. And, you know, it's unfortunate in terms.
And again, I can respect, right? I can respect in some way that he's thinking about his constituents, right? The people that need to have that job to survive in the area. But again, no moral greatness comes without sacrifice, right? No actual, expansion comes without sacrifice. You cannot be out there fighting for your goals and your beliefs and your the policies that you want to see enacted without fucking sacrifice. So again, if you find it in your heart that, the sacrifice is worth the kidnapped Ukrainian children, not seeing that war continuously funded, not seeing the drones and the missile strikes every single night into civilian populated areas continuously funded by this plant, like, you would think that would be enough for the sacrifice. How about maybe we do something where we could take back this plant, we could make it we can nationalize it, whatever you have to do, but get them the fuck out of there. Make it so Ireland gets the resources. Make sure that they get the funds or the profits from that. Whatever you have to do. I don't know. Or just shut it the fuck down, put up a new fucking plant with something else, or have an Ireland, an Irish, entrepreneur come in and start the same fucking thing, but do it legally. Right. And do it so it's benefiting the Ireland people, the Irish population, and maybe the surrounding areas that are not engaged in criminal wars and war crimes on a nightly basis. That would be, I don't know, the first thing that I'd go with. But that's just me. You know what I mean? But all right, let's dive on to that, because like I said, that was something that I saw. It was good reporting being done, and it really, really pissed me off, the ridiculous responses that he was giving as well. But let me see. I might not be able to have time to jump into that now, but I do have time to. Yeah, we'll jump into the professor here. Let's dive into this video here, and then I'll get you guys out of here after this. Probably this is the professor. He says that Ukraine just keeps coming, right? So, detailing some of the recent successes from the Ukrainians. So what do you say we can dive into this as well and just get some updates and hear about some of, like I said, the recent successes and how Ukraine is not letting up anytime soon on the Russians. Appreciate you guys.
It's Thursday, June 4th, 2026.
I didn't ask you to play yet, Professor. I appreciate your insights, though. But Slava Ukraina, Heroyam Slava. Make sure you hit that like button. Again, my name is Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast, the little podcast that could, and I appreciate you guys for making this thing successful as it has been already. Everybody going over to the Blunt Politics merch shop and getting some great merch over there to support the channel. It really means a lot. So all right, let's dive into this little recap here, and then I'll get you guys out of here. I appreciate you guys.
First, I want to apologize for the delay. I was having some tech issues with my camera. So, okay, here we are. We're good. And the Ukrainians keep coming. And you'll see this here in this video. The Ukrainians just keep coming and striking. Hold on.
I think
So
Trump said something along those lines, didn't he? I think he had something to say.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
I knew it was something along those lines. Sorry.
overnight strikes, and let's look at what was going on. So first thing, yesterday was St. Petersburg, the first day of the economic forum in St. Petersburg.
Again, just an outright propaganda victory and obviously a successful strike by the Ukrainians, especially at a time, which is obviously a calculated maneuver there to do this at a time where they were having that Russian Davos, where there was so many kind of, high profile people and obviously media coverage. That was going to be a big aspect of this. Clearly the slap in the face that Putin got, everybody recognizing that he doesn't have the capabilities, doesn't have the ability to stop these drones the way he's telling everybody he does. But just one of these successes recently that the Ukrainians have seen.
Strikes in St. Petersburg on the first day of the marquee Putin event. Annual economic conference was set to begin. President Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukraine had targeted a Navy base and the oil terminal. This is what, the view. There is no way they could deny that this was happening yesterday, and Zelensky knew what he was doing. Now, is there going to be retaliation for that? I'm sure there will be. I can't imagine that Putin's not going to want to retaliate for having that significant black eye. There were no oil strikes overnight last night, which I found very unusual. There were only 4 or 5 days over the last month, other than the parade, where there weren't any strikes on oil refineries in Russia. And so we'll keep an eye on what's going on with that over time. So what was struck? Well, a guard ship, a gunpowder factory, enemy warehouses hit. The results were hits on of the St. Petersburg strike were also clarified, and it was bad politically in the same way that Operation Spiderweb was bad militarily. So let's talk about this ship being hit. The Ukraine's unmanned forces systems successfully struck a Svetyak class border guard ship in Crimea being operated by militants of Russia. Here's a video.
And he goes up to bring up the geography of where this ship was in just a second. And he also brings up a pretty good point, I thought, right? We've all been pretty consistently waiting for the Ukrainians to strike the Kerch Bridge, right? And Professor here, he kind of gives like an alternative theory as to why he says that he would kind of wish or hope that the Ukrainians hold off a little bit on striking the Kerch Bridge. And I think the reason that he gives is a pretty insightful reason, especially considering what we've seen happen over the last, 2 or 3 strikes, in severity, and obviously the weaponry that Russia has used to try, to target Kyiv and Dnipro and other areas there. So I'll let you listen to what his explanation is, and then you guys let me know in the chat if you think that makes sense, if that's kind of, a pretty good reason to maybe hold off a little bit until you have the systems in place to mitigate whatever reaction is likely to come from that. I won't give away too much, but I'll let him.
Drone footage of the ship being hit by drones, right? And then you can see it burning off in the distance by another drone. And so, yeah, it happened. Where did it happen, though? That's a question. Given its location near the Kerch Strait, the vessel was likely involved in security operations around the Kerch Bridge and surrounding shipping routes. Okay, so that's really interesting that it was so close to the Kerch Bridge. And
right. So right off the bat, people might be like, and I kind of had the same thought, same feeling of like, okay, maybe this is them kind of working their way up to striking that Kerch Bridge and, kind of softening up the area around it to let them know, hey, this is kind of exactly what we told you what was going to come, and now it's coming type of thing. But, he gives, like I said, Professor gives kind of a pretty good reason as to why he'd maybe like to see Ukraine hold off again, just a little bit on the Kerch Bridge. Not that he doesn't obviously recognize the importance of that, but I'll let him give the reasoning and let me know what you guys think in the chat.
People will ask, when are they going to hit the Kerch Bridge? I hope it's not anytime soon. And I know that sounds like a weird statement, but you want to be able to manipulate that pressure when you want, and you also want ballistic defense when that happens, because when the Kerch Bridge gets struck, if it gets struck, it's going to cause Putin to lash out, and you have to have the ballistic.
And he's 100% right. He's 100% right. Like we've seen just recently, right, how difficult it is to shoot down some of these missiles that Ukraine is getting struck by, right? We can talk about the efficacy of the air defenses as it pertains to drones and different types of missiles, but when you start getting up into the more expensive and the faster flying of the missiles, the fastest flying of the missiles, the air defenses are not in place to mitigate against whatever attack would likely come or stem from the Ukrainians taking out the Kerch Bridge. You would likely see a retaliation from Russia, and if they continue to to use the weaponry that is difficult to shoot down with the even with the Patriot missile defenses and stuff like that, then obviously that would be that would put the Ukrainians at great risk, obviously in Kyiv and other places that the Russians would strike. So it would be best, right? And whether or not this is even possible or something that we're likely to see is remains to be seen. But it would be best in a perfect world to be able to have a lot more of the missile defenses in place in the strategic areas that the Russians would likely strike before you start doing something on this level, right? Again, I don't know if that's something that's already in the works or anything like that, but I think it is pretty reasonable and insightful to think that, okay, obviously Putin's going to react from this. We've seen, just in the last couple weeks, how much damage can be done. Maybe we should probably get, our ducks in a row. Let's get all of our eggs in one basket here. Get any fucking air defenses we possibly can from any of our allies, wherever we could possibly get those together. And, once we have as many as we could possibly have, or as much as we could possibly get our hands on in place, then at least we'll be in the position to, defend against whatever retaliation is likely to come. You know what I mean? So again, whether that's exactly the thought process behind it or is what's likely to happen is, again, just kind of speculation. And we're just, speaking about it here, but, it remains to be seen and doesn't seem to be out of the realm of possibility or, kind of, non-logical. It seems to be a logical thought, really.
Missile defense at that time. And Ukrainians are working on that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Interestingly, the crew members manning the machine gun positions appear to be looking a completely different direction at the moments before the strike, suggesting the crew...
That's fucking funny. The crew members manning the machine gun positions appear to be looking in a completely different direction moments before the strike, suggesting the crew may not have been aware of the direction from which the threat was approaching. Not really a good sign, right? Not a good sign if you guys are looking at 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, the fucking, the drone and the missiles coming from 1 o'clock. It's like, you're probably not going to be shooting that thing down. You may want to do some training here. Maybe want to do some missile drone training on this ship. Because I'm just going to say, if you got the gun facing in the wrong way, it's going to be difficult to shoot the drone down.
May not have been aware of the direction from which the threat was approaching. Now, I guess I would assume that they would think that the direction is this direction or maybe down here somewhere. And if they're looking that way, I'm sorry, if they're looking this way and it came from that way, that's a really interesting thing. Okay. Other things that were hit: Panzer S-1 air defense system, a RSBN and a 4N short-range radio navigation system, train locomotive transformer stations, fuel shortages. There were lots of hits.
So you can see there a pretty substantial list of things that were targeted. Let me just see here. We'll go up and give you updates on the Russian casualty list, and then I'll get you guys out of here. So over the last 24 hours, this is from February 24th to June 4th, 2026. So probably, that's the most up-to-date one. So another 1,300 scratched off as far as dead or wounded, bringing that up to 1.369 million eliminated personnel on the Russian side. Another 4 tanks chalked up, creeping ever closer to 12,000 tanks destroyed. Another 3 armored fighting vehicles, rapidly creeping up to 25,000 of those during the war. 75 artillery systems were apparently taken out in the last 24 hours, which is fucking insane. That goes up to 43,247 of those. We got another 4 MLRSs, which were taken out, obviously expensive pieces of equipment, bringing that up to 1,830 of those. Again, just adding up all of the numerical losses here. The dollar losses here is astronomical. So air defenses, 1,403 UAVs, another 2,100 UAVs downed in 24 hours, bringing that total up to 327,726. Unmanned ground vehicles, another 14 taken out over the last 24 hours. That brings that total up to 1,562. Another 400 vehicle and fuel tanks were taken out, bringing that up to 102,971. And then another 3 pieces of special equipment there, bringing that total up to 4,248. So again, these numbers astronomical, no matter which category you're looking at, and just gives you a clear indication of how disastrous this war has been and continues to be for the Russians. So again, another great show, guys. Very much appreciate you for joining me. Couldn't be more grateful for the mods that I have here. Couldn't be more grateful and appreciative of the fantastic community that I started, but you guys built. So thank you guys so much. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Sign up for a YouTube membership if you haven't already. Check out patreon.com/BostonBrian if you haven't already. Grab some great merch off the merch site at bostonbrian.com if you haven't already. And what do you say we get into thanking some people on the Venmo side of things if we haven't already? All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you guys here to everybody in the chat who makes this show possible, who makes this thing run, who keeps these wheels spinning. Love you guys. Very much appreciate and respect you guys. Oh, Geneva, thank you so much. Geneva started it off today on Venmo. Geneva says, appreciate you, Brian. Keep bringing us the news and the fun, and I shall be here as long as you guys will have me. I really, really will. One reason is because I have no other options, and another reason is because I love you guys, and I am very passionate about the work that I do, and so passionate, in fact, that I'm currently trying to figure out a way to hand deliver the NAFO vehicles that we'll be sending to Ukraine myself. Again, that would be the honor of a lifetime to be able to shake hands with the units that we're responsible for giving them the vehicles, and you guys could see firsthand. Not that you don't see firsthand. We actually have the response video from our last campaign in the exit video, as you guys see. So, obviously you guys get to see the appreciation and the hard work that you guys do in these campaigns and see it come to fruition when they accept their vehicles. But hopefully, like I said, don't want to get ahead of myself, but the hope is that I could be there in person to deliver these vehicles and also utilize that time to do some more on the ground coverage, reporting, anything that I am fortunate enough to be able to do. And it's only with your help, your contributions, and you guys, basically seeing the benefit and kind of wanting me to do those things so I can bring you guys the reporting. So like I said, if you could send in a Venmo, if you could kick in on Patreon, if you could send in super chats, all of those things go to help build this community, build the profile, build the reach that this community has, and get us involved in a lot more things like this, right? The bigger we grow, the more people start to take notice. It sucks that that's the way it goes, but typically the smaller channels don't get much recognition. These bigger platforms don't really see the benefit of working with the small channels in a lot of cases. So again, you got to grow, you got to get out there, you got to get the subscriber base in order to start, having people listen to what you're saying and recognize you out there. So again, thank you guys, and making that possible. And hopefully, the stars align and we could make that a reality. And we could be back there fighting and helping and assisting the people of Ukraine in person. So that would be fantastic. So thank you so much, Geneva, for your contribution. Thank you so much to Bry Guy for your contribution as well. BH, my friend, I oddly had $2 balance on my Venmo card. Slava Ukraine. I had just got out of my rural barbershop. Man, almost went to blows with the last of the. Hold on, let me see. I can't see the rest of your. Like, if for some reason it won't show me the rest of it. You wrote a book. The Trumpers in the Village. I see it. So it's a Slav Ukraine. Just got out of my rural barbershop. Man, almost went to blows with the last of the Trumpers in my village. Oh, come on. That's great. That's fucking great. You go to get a haircut. Next thing you know, you're getting into a fight with some Trumpers. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way of the world as it is right now. But thank you so much, Bry Guy, for your $2 contribution. I hope your haircut looks great, and hopefully the other guy looks a lot worse for wear than you do, right? So I appreciate you, Bry Guy. Let's see here. Who's next? Thank you so much to Jeff. Oh, I see you, brother. I see you in there. Jeff says, it's a tip. Go F yourself. No tax on tips. Love you, brother. Jin and Roxanne. Salute to you guys. Thank you so much for the 420 contribution. Very, very, very much appreciated. And then over the last couple days, as we typically like to do, just give you guys, the respect and the appreciation, and you guys deserve the spotlight as well. So over the last couple days, some familiar names, Bry Guy, BH, thank you so much. Allison M, obviously Damon in there, my G, Bry Guy again, Nancy, Yakov, Moms, Peter, Jim, Belinda, thank you so much. Let's see here. Geneva again over the last couple days, like I said, Nina, Roxanne, Michael R, V Sawyer. Love you guys, really do. It just blows me away every time I see the support that this show has. Let's see if we can jump over here to YouTube, start on these fabulous people over here. First up today is going to be Carol. Thank you so much for the $5 contribution. Shame on Andy Ogles for his bigotry. Fill in a reply of what you think of his embarrassment from Tennessee. So That's something that we didn't bring up on the show. Maybe we'll bring that up on the next show. It's a good idea there, Carol. But didn't he blame his staffer, right? Like, didn't he come out and say, and again, Andy Ogle's responsible for some of the most horrendous, bigoted, hateful, racist pieces, speech that you could possibly put out there, especially as an elected official. So why all of a sudden he's deciding to kind of kowtow to the backlash and kind of throw his staffers under the bus here, where he says, I'll just throw it up real quick. Fuck it. Let's see here. I'll just do Andy Ogle's tweet. I'm sure most of you guys have seen this, but if not, we'll throw this one up there. Photos. Give me a photo of it. And again, I remind you that it is Pride Month, right? It is Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, everybody. Happy Pride Month, everybody. Hope everybody's out there celebrating. All right, so I'll throw this on the screen. Let me throw this up there. And thank you, Carol, so much for reminding me, bringing this to my attention as well. So this is Rep. Andy Ogles, and this is the tweet in question. And again, reminder, reiterate, Pride Month, okay? And he decides to put on his Twitter account, homosexuality has no place in America. Happy Nuclear Family Month. And again, this is the same guy that said, compared Muslims to dogs, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Yeah, I looked up this one specifically, but he's responsible for some of, again, like I said, the most hateful, bigoted, racist, homophobic rhetoric that you could possibly put on there. But he decided to throw his, this is where he throws his staffer under the bus, because he says, earlier today, while working on the farm, my phone began going crazy because of a post made by a member of my comms team. This post was stupid, hurtful, and a complete distraction from my America First focus. This employee has been reprimanded, not terminated, just reprimanded, right? Hasn't terminated the guy, but he is going to reprimand him. Because obviously that wasn't it wasn't enough of an offense to be terminated about. It was just kind of shouldn't have done it type of thing. But again, to anybody that thinks that Andy Ogles wouldn't put this out himself or didn't put this out himself, I got a couple fucking bridges to sell you. So let me know if you're interested. I got them at a real cheap price, and I got a shitload of them. So if you're in need, let me know in the chat, hit me up, send me an email, and I'll sell you some bridges, because that's definitely right in line with what this piece of shit usually says on social media. So appreciate you, Cal. Thank you so much for reminding me of that. Thank you, Colleen, for everything that you do for this channel as well. God bless you. I appreciate you. Thank you, Aaron Hessler 7785 for becoming a new YouTube member. Salute to you, Aaron. Thank you so much for joining the coalition, the opposition, the resistance here. Hope you find a welcoming community. And again, like I said, thank you for taking the time out and going the extra mile, joining the YouTube family. Thank you very, very much. Let's see here. Rachel up next. I ask you, if you've never done anything untoward in a public toilet in the course of your entire life, have you ever really lived? Well, I guess define untoward, right? I guess that's kind of a wide-ranging description. I guess my untoward may not be your untoward, but I've never done anything that I suspect Benny Johnson has done in a porta potty. I can assure you that. Have I done anything illegal in a porta potty? Of course. Of course. I'm not here to lie to you, for God's sakes, but just never anything sexual. Just not really the place that I'd point at or look to be like, you know what, that's a good place to get it on, or that's a good place to get this done. But, there's a couple things in which you can get done there, but we won't go too deep into it. But I appreciate you, Rach. Thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you so much for, again, your time and the efforts that you put into trying to set up new people to speak to and different candidates to uplift their campaigns, everything that you do behind the scenes as well, Rach. It is appreciated. It is recognized. And much like, a lot of the fantastic people in this chat, you guys are forever going the extra mile for, whether it be YouTube accounts, the channels that you watch, creators, or, campaigns, doing great things within your community. And Rachel, I just want to make sure I give you that shout out as well. So appreciate you. And once again, famous American spy. Does Benedict Arnold count? Right. I'm telling you, I don't think he doesn't know his fucking ass from his elbow. He doesn't know shit from Shinola. As that's concerned. But I do appreciate your $2 contribution. And again, big salute to you, Rach, for everything that you do within the community and beyond. Thank you, David. How are you, David? Appreciate seeing you. Thank you so much for your $5 contribution, my friend. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your loyalty, the friendship. make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. And thank you so much again for the contribution. Shout out to you, David. W's in the chat for everybody. Thank you so much to Jackie for the buck. Very much appreciate that. Go right in the swear jar, Jackie. Just in case you haven't heard yet, that is very much needed in this show. The swear jar is something that gets emptied pretty regularly. So thanks, Jackie. I appreciate you. Thank you so much to Miss Leslie. How are you, Miss Leslie? As usual, your hard work is so appreciated. You're a giving soul. Let's get that truck out for the soldiers in Slavo Ukraine. And I am going to second that second half. And I very much appreciate the first half of that. But again, it is the work that this community does. Right. So it is not just me by any stretch of the imagination. And again, I'm shit at taking compliments. So please, my apologies. I do appreciate it, Leslie. Absolutely. But again, I typically try to flip it around and on you guys, because that's where it should be. Because without you guys, I'm just sitting there talking to myself. Right. And in some regards, I probably am. Because a lot of people, when they're live, have a lot of people watching. And again, we're just trying to be the up and comers here. We're just trying to make our way into the algorithm at this point still. So, but I do very much appreciate you. But like I said, if it wasn't for this community and you guys and your generosity, none of this would be possible. So, Miss Leslie, love and appreciation, respect to you. Thank you so much for your kind words. And absolutely, let's get that truck to the soldiers. Appreciate you, Leslie. I hope you're having a good day. Thank you, Rachel, again. Irish support whatever UK opposes and vice versa. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But again, and not saying that you're saying anything otherwise, but it's crazy to see, like Kalen played there, the statements by these Irish politicians and, the work that they say they're going to do to support and uplift Ukraine and work with them hand in hand. And we've seen within the, the British Parliament, you know what I mean? A lot of the time, I've seen time and time again, whether it's, the PMQs or just a general statement being made at how important the necessity is for supporting Ukraine. And then you go and see, different places in Ireland doing shit like this. Sorry, the professor started playing again. Let me disconnect on that one. Yeah, so it's just it's frustrating, and you're 100% right, and it's to be expected in some degree, from what you're saying there. But it's just it's tough to put those things together. Seeing the the rhetoric at least of the necessity and the need to support. Meanwhile, when you're putting when you're actually looking at what's being put into practice, it's this well, it's just Russians. It's just going to fund a war effort. No real reason. Because there's Irish people that work there. What are they going to do without jobs? Well, things close all the time. People, will have to, especially in today's, society after COVID, after what's going on with the economy now, things close. So, people are going to have to find something else. You'd like to believe that people wouldn't want to be working at a plant that goes to help fund the war effort for Russia. Right. That would be like a hope and a belief that I would have. The councilmen and the people working there wouldn't like it. So. But thank you so much, Rachel, again, for your kind contribution as well. Shout out to you. Hope you're having a great day. Oh, Colleen, good grief. Thank you so much. Unbelievably generous and kind of you. Very much appreciate that. Shout out to you, Colleen. I'm behind, but the Don Jr. segment gave me immense joy. Effing idiots. Yeah. James Tallarico is the, what do you call him? The decoration candidate. Hold on. One more. Can we get it one more time? Fuck me. This is too good. This was too good. In case you joined us late. Let me see. Can I get this one off? Let me get this. I'll get this one off the screen. Let me. I just closed this out too. That's okay. All good. It's worth it. It's worth it. Bear with me for a second. Let's get this back on the screen. All right. So we only went a couple seconds beyond, so it shouldn't be too. Here we go. All right. So in case you just joined us, or you joined us late, or you missed this segment for some reason, this is Don Jr. Okay, and you tell me whether or not you think the cocaine just hit, the teleprompter just broke, or his brain just broke, because he goes on to try to, portray himself as this alpha strong male, somebody that's going to the beat on and mock James Tallarico. But listen to how he describes Tallarico. What candidate is Tallarico again for Texas? I'll let Don Jr. take it away.
Parody at every turn and robotic rehearsed talking points, quite literally. But don't take my word for it, guys. Here's Texas Decorations Senate candidate James Tallarico.
It gets worse. I don't know how it got worse. Since the last time we watched that got worse. And I'm not quite sure how he does it. because that's already been recorded. It's the same thing we've watched last time, but somehow he managed to do it even worse. He's even more shit at it now than he was the first time that he watched. But yes, you heard that correct. He was I can't even get it out. It's too bad. He's the Texas Decorations Senate candidate, James Tallarico. I couldn't believe it when I heard it. It's like you can see in his eyes him recognize that the fucking word was wrong, but he still says it. Like he's Ron Burgundy. He's fucking legitimately Ron Burgundy. Whatever you put on that teleprompter is coming out of his mouth. Watch the moment where he recognizes that's not what's supposed to be said, but he still says it.
We're seeing on the left. Complete self-parody at every turn. And robotic rehearsed talking points, quite literally.
Ready? Watch
But don't take my word for it, guys. Here's Texas.
He laughs. So that laugh right there is him recognizing that next word doesn't make sense, right? And again, whether that's the cocaine, whether that's the teleprompter breaking, or that's just him being brain broken, I don't know if it's cue cards or what's going on with this, with this production. But he laughs, he scoffs, right, to give himself a little bit of time, to give himself that, that extra second to be like, does this word make sense? Is that really what I'm reading? And then he has that extra second, takes that extra second, and still reads the words.
Here's Texas decoration.
He's still doing it. He says Texas, he laughs, he scoffs, and then he reads it.
Senate candidate James. Here's Texas decorations Senate candidate James Tallarico.
Killed it. Absolutely fucking nailed that one. Couldn't have done it better myself, I don't think. But no, I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. All right, let's get back into the gifts. Where did I leave off on that one? No, I missed my place. So we did miss Leslie. Probably could have chose a different way to word that. We got to Rachel's. We got to Colleen's. Oh, it was Colleen. So thank you again, Colleen. I appreciate you so very much. I really, really do. Thank you so much for your kindness, your contributions, your loyalty, coming back time and time again, liking, sharing, subscribing, all the things that you do. Very much appreciated for you. Let's see here. Who is next? Frida. Oh, you, Frida. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Are your dogs in sweaters? Because they look goddamn cute in their little sweaters that they got. So thank you so much for your $2 contribution. Shout out to you. Big W's in the chat for Frida Love there. Thank you so much, and I hope you're having a great day, Frida. We really do appreciate you. Thank you to Shockey as well. Stay strong, fellow lobsters. Thank you so much, Shockey, for the £2. Very much appreciated. Great picture, too, as usual. Great picture. Love it. So thank you, Shockey. Shout out to you. Thank you to Ruben. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, right back at you, Ruben. Thank you so much for your kindness, your loyalty. Shout out to you. Dubs in the chat for Ruben as well. That goes for everybody, though. That goes for everybody. Dubs for everybody. Who's fish punching octopus? Oh, you guys crack me up. Fish punching octopus. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. That is amazing. I'd love to know where we got this name from, but I am so afraid. I am so afraid to know that story. But no, thank you so much. Very generous of you. Thank you so much for not only watching, but also getting involved with the chat, getting involved with the community, and obviously gifting 5 incredible people there that are watching without a memberships for at least a month. So FPO. That'll be my nickname. That'll be my nickname. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Who is next here? Who is next? Thank you to Rocks. Thank you so much, Rocks, for the $2. Love y'all. Right back at you. Hope Mom is doing well. Please give her my love. Please be, passing on the good vibes from everybody here at Blunt Politics, my family, obviously me, to Mom. Hopefully everything's going well as far as the recovery is concerned. We're worried about her. We're thinking about her. Thank you so much to Brian. Maxwell Smart. Great show. Great reference, dude. Great fucking reference. I like that. Yeah, that's great. That's like the oldies that I grew up on right there. Maxwell Smart. That's fucking amazing. I might have to go back and watch a couple of those episodes where he's talking to his shoe and shit. But thank you, Braga. I appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much for the 2. Thank you, Jeff. The Porta Potty Boston Brian Blumpkin videos are, oh, come on. Jesus, Jeff. Keep it in. Keep it PC. Come on. Well, now all of a sudden I'm going to have to get, this is going to be 18 plus just for that comment. No, thank you so much. I appreciate it. None of those out there, I assure you. None of those out there, I assure you. And then thank you so much, Carol, for recognizing Colleen as well. Colleen indeed does rock, and give it up, people, for not only Colleen, but for everybody in the chat, and everybody obviously that contributes to the show. A little bit over today, and I do apologize, but I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the Friday show. Hopefully everybody makes it through another week of torture, another week of lunacy, and I'll be right here to bring you guys the news, any updates. Obviously, still looking at what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz, Iran, Israel, everywhere else in the Middle East. A lot of things happening right now, but not a lot of movement in those things, right? So a lot to talk about, just not a lot of answers, unfortunately. But we'll be digging through it all. Like I said, make sure whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, or Substack, you leave a comment, share the stream, like, subscribe if that's what that platform takes. Please subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way in showing YouTube and obviously the rest of the platforms that you watch on that you like it, you're engaged, and other people should be engaged as well. So I'll let you guys go. I appreciate you. Thank you so much to everybody. And like I said, keep kicking ass. Please stay aggressive, stay loud, stay proud. Get the hell out of your seats and into the streets. We're going to have to start raising a ruckus if we actually want some change. And like I continue to say, we are just not pissed off enough in this country. So, all right, I'm out of here. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you to the mods, as always. And obviously the best chat on the planet right here at Blunt Politics. Subscribe and like that before you leave. All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Happy Pride, guys. Happy Pride. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate you, Pops. Much love, big guy. See you in a second. Vix, great to see you. Appreciate you for joining us. W's in the chat for Vix. What's up, Rita? Big Jerry, let's go. Big J, appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man. Good to see you, Orb Duma. Good to see you, Jim. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you, Moms. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Gamer. Thank you, Love Freddy. Thank you, Adam. Good to see you, my brother. Thank you, Kathy, over on Twitch.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there. You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it very well. I've become an expert on guns. What uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things. Wrong.
How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
What in the hell was that all about? He says wrecked him, damn near killed him.
Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
Like we always do about this time.
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful night. Give yourselves a round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone's so lovely.
Where you going? Nowhere.
We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great.
The rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands.
My superpower is being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones. Is there anything worse than white people?
He builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers. He'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
This week it was reported that an illegal alien thing, and you just look at this, what's happening.